Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with G. Bush and Jason Lloyd. I'm Adam the Bull. We got Mikey. We got Steve. We got Anthony. Earl is back up in his perch upstairs. We're all ready to go, but none of us are happy today because yesterday's Browns game was an absolute disaster. Let's hear from you, Jason, first.
We both picked them to lose, but it was even worse than I thought. Way
worse.
And when we were texting, I told Mikey, I'm like, yeah, it's about what I expected. And then when it was like over and you digested it, no, that was worse. We're going to get into all of it today. Here's the one point I want to make, and I want to make clear. Deshaun was hit 17 times yesterday. You're going to hear that it was the offensive line's problem. It wasn't. We're going to get into why. He's holding on to the ball too long. He had plenty of time to throw yesterday. This is not a protection issue. It's not a scheme issue. It's a quarterback issue. He's got to be better than what he showed yesterday.
G. Bush.
I'm going to tell you what. It's the worst game that I've seen the Browns play in a very long time. I think it's the worst game that Kevin Stefanski has had as a head coach. It was one of the worst quarterback games that I ever seen in my life. I happen to disagree. I thought the offensive line played horrible yesterday, especially in the run game, which was non-existent. I thought Jim Schwartz had a horrible game. I thought the defense played trash. I think in general, this game to me was a complete and utter disaster. They looked unprepared, they looked unprofessional, and they looked uninspired. And they got to figure some stuff out. And yes, the quarterback, there were some things that we got to reevaluate with the quarterback and see what's going on. But for me, I think this was an overall F by everybody involved. F.
It's hard to argue against that. By the way, Bernie Kosar is going to join us at 12:30. The great Michael Symon is going to join us at noon. Of course, everybody knows he's from Northeast Ohio, so we'll talk to them later. And we'll get to the Guardians in overtime at 1 o'clock. A long show today. If you are with us now, you're aware we started a half hour early because we wanted more time to talk about everything that was happening today. I kind of went bananas on my podcast yesterday because there was no excuse for what we saw yesterday. It was a complete shit show all the way around. Let's be honest about it. Nobody gets a pass for this game. Kevin Stefanski doesn't. The offensive line doesn't. The wide receivers don't. The running backs don't. The defense, Mike said they played okay. I thought they were worse than okay. They weren't as bad as the offense, but they were not good. What's wild about this game is the Browns made that first stop defensively, and then they get the good punt return by Darden. The crowd is fired up. The sideline's fired up. And it was like from that moment on, and then they couldn't do anything, and they had to settle for the field goal, which was basically just because of the punt return. And then from that moment on, the Browns were basically dead the rest of the game. They had no energy. The crowd was dead. There were I don't blame the crowd. There were a lot of Cowboy fans, which was really disappointing. I know it sounded worse at the end of the game because Browns fans had left, but to let that many Cowboy fans on opening day take the stadium was terrible. But the bottom line is, blame to go around. Deshaun Watson was absolutely horrendous in this game, and you never blame one person 100% for any loss. The season is not over after one game, but he was horrendous, and to me, there's no excuse for how bad his performance was. I question, like in Houston, talked a lot about his football IQ, his ability to see the field. I'm not seeing any of that here at all.
The alarming part for me was there are throws in deep balls where the deep throws where it's like
7 yards out of bounds.
Where are you throwing that, dog? This is in the stands. I don't know. I didn't know if he was throwing it away or like because there wasn't nobody in the vicinity.
No.
It just wasn't. It just looked bad. The processing looked slow. It looked like there was just friction. Like it just didn't look like there was any sort of rhythm, any sort of like I was like that ain't. and I'm gonna just say this right now, if there's four more games of that, there's a reevaluation coming.
100%. We're going to get more into that. A lot of talk about Deshaun Watson, about the defense, about the running game, about it all. First, Mikey McNuggets.
And the offensive line.
Yeah.
And coaching. We got to hit on all of it.
All
We're going
of
to do
it.
it before we
All
get
of
to
it.
Michael Symon and Bernie Kosar. By the way, Bernie became a granddad yesterday, so that's
Is that
why
his
he's
first
not going to join us.
grandkid?
That's what he told me on the phone this
Okay.
morning. So,
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
So congrats to Bernie. One positive coming out of yesterday is
Yeah.
Bernie's daughter had a successful birth, and Bernie is now a grandfather. So he's going to call in via Zoom instead of being in studio with us, which is a bummer, but understandable considering the circumstances. And we're going to get right back and talk some Browns after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys have heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It is undisputably America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, we got a little something different for you guys. Starting today through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. But we got to start with Deshaun Watson. G on Friday said, hey, if Deshaun balls out, 30 minutes of the show has to be dedicated to Deshaun. And we were going to do that no matter what.
Yeah.
We just didn't get the ball out part of it. So I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be 30 minutes, but we have to start with Deshaun Watson and his performance against the Cowboys. You can start, Bull. I know you mentioned
Yeah,
it there.
and G just alluded to it, and he's right. You look at what they've got coming up the next 4 games. It's really – and Jacksonville's a decent team. We know that. But after that, you got the Giants, the Commanders, and the Raiders. 3 teams that I think we're all expecting to be not very good. Deshaun Watson, to me, has 4 weeks. Now, I don't know that if he stinks after week 5 that they're going to bench him. But to me – if there's any hope remaining of Deshaun Watson becoming anything close to the quarterback he was, it has to happen these next 4 weeks because you're not playing any particularly good defenses. Dallas obviously has a very good defense, but in this game in particular, the stats don't even tell the full story. His performance was even worse than those bad stats. A lot of the sacks, and I know Jason's going to get to this more, I thought were on him. He held on to the ball way too long. There's no vision whatsoever. G talked about it. He's throwing balls to the sideline. You're not even giving the receiver a chance. Now, there was some drops, sure. Every quarterback's going to get some drops. It's going to happen. It stinks. Cooper had a drop, which you don't expect. David Njoku had a drop, which, that's been his thing sometimes. He was better at that last year. But, 3.8 yards per attempt. And if you look at it, when the game was still, a lot of that got a little better when the game was in garbage time. He was, for a while, averaging under 2 yards per attempt, which is insanely awful. There's nothing good I can say about Deshaun Watson's performance in this game. Nothing.
Hey, when I try to take a look and see what I could take from this, all coaches and people say week 1, let me see what we can take away from it. I can't take nothing. I can't say anything. When you looked at that game, and we have to drill down and figure out what's going on here. We were sold on this new offense now 2 times in a row. We were sold on this vertical passing game. We were sold on this is going to be a NASCAR type feel, RPO, all this good stuff. We saw none of that, right? I need to understand whether it's the offense and what you are calling, and is that the design of what we're doing, or are you checking the ball down? We got to figure this out because if it's 3rd and 10, and granted, now we'll get to the offensive line and we'll get to the holding penalties and their undisciplined nature, but if you are at a position where you are in behind the sticks 3rd and 5, every single time you come to the line of scrimmage, illegal procedure. Every single time you get a decent play, holding, the people dropping a rock. But here's the thing, I said this most about Deshaun Watson, and I said this on my podcast. I said, look, bro, if you're going to have to get in your mind that you're going to have to do something because they're going to get you up out of here. I'm going to tell you that right now. Even if it's on energy level, if you Deshaun Watson and you not playing well and people dropping the ball and people is false starting and doing all that other stuff, somebody has to be on the sideline talking to people. I saw Dak talking to people. I see them other quarterbacks talking to, hey, guy, get with Amari Cooper. Hey, this is what we need to do over here this way. When they come into the sideline, I'm saying you sit on the bench, DTR sitting here looking straight ahead, and all the receivers on the other end. No cohesiveness, no nothing. You're going to have to fight for your career, bro. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not married to none of that. Like, you're going to have to fight and dig. Like, some of this stuff, the processing looks slow. I don't know where you're going with the rock. And yes, you could use some of that other, but there's no excuses, man. These next 4 weeks is the most pivotal in your lifetime, because right now, that did not look like a professional quarterback. It just didn't. It is what it is. It just is.
Just no flow to the offense whatsoever.
It's an organizational failure that they did not play in the preseason. It's an organizational failure. Like, yes, how can you say this team was ready to play week one after watching that?
Yeah.
They were not ready to play. And that's on the coaching staff. That's on Kevin. How many times do we say they need to play? They should have played in the preseason. They should have played. I told you that around the start of training camp, the people around Deshaun were saying he wasn't going to play in this preseason. Kevin comes out and says he's going to play. Deshaun says that's news to me. And then suddenly Deshaun doesn't play.
Well, if
he
Deshaun doesn't want to play, can Kevin force him to play?
He's the head coach.
Yeah.
But he's the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, Deshaun has full control of this organization. He's had it by the you-know-what since the day he signed the contract. This team was not ready to play yesterday. You've only got 17 of these. And the Browns have gotten away with not being ready in weeks one of the past, and they escaped with wins. They didn't look great last year against Cincinnati, and we blame the weather. But the truth is, they didn't look ready to play in week one, but they were able to escape with the win. They escaped in Carolina because they kicked a long field goal at the end of the game. They easily could have lost that. They're so worried about getting to the season healthy, and I get it, it's important, but they're not ready to play week one. And if you lose out on the playoffs by one game, this is the game you're going to look back on and say, you guys weren't ready. You weren't ready to compete in week one. And so, like, that's because everyone says I always defend Kevin all the time, and I do for the most part, but I thought that was a massive fail to not have this team ready to play week one, and that's on the coaching staff, to not have any sort of cohesiveness with this offense. That looked like the first preseason game out there, which means, does that mean we have 2 more preseason games to go before these guys are ready to go?
No, I don't want to hear it. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
And y'all points,
Yeah.
listen, y'all was on, I was the one who said, well, maybe Kevin has the pulse of the team and he don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
You got to reevaluate your whole offseason program, dog. You have to, because not only was I alarmed by that, they looked tired. Myles Garrett looked like he was gassed. I'm looking around. I'm like, is Myles on the field?
Yeah, I mean, he looked impactful early, and then he just disappeared.
He looked tired.
Yeah.
It looked like guys were sucking wind. And it's like, if you're not going to be practicing because you're not injured, y'all got to be in shape. You know, and plus the energy levels. Last year, this reminded me of the game against the 49ers last year, where the Browns offense was terrible. They knew they had P.J. Walker. But the Browns defense had a certain level of energy where it was like, I'm going to go out and we're going to take the ball. We're going to make sure that we win this game. The energy level was just different. It just seemed after they got punched in the mouth a little bit, Bull, it was almost as if they looked on the offensive side of the ball and was like, we have no ability to move the ball.
Right.
And it just deflated them.
Yeah, because it looked like they had that energy in the first drive, and then it just kind of went away after that. But getting specifically back to the quarterback, Jason, and we'll get to the offensive line a little more, but you have some stats that show, because a lot of people were blaming the offensive line for all the sacks, and not all sacks are created equal. The truth is, you have the numbers to back that Deshaun Watson had plenty of time, even under pressure.
So we did, Mike, you just want to do the numbers now? You want to do it?
Yeah, because it all ties
quarterback
together.
related,
We'll
so.
talk about the offensive line big picture later and
All
can
right.
it be fixed? What were the issues coming from? But this is worth talking about with Deshaun Watson.
All right, so everybody wants to say that Deshaun was under pressure all day and he didn't have enough time to throw. And watching it live, I could see why you would think that. But when you dig into the numbers, when you really look, the protection held. Pull up the graphic so I could see, because I don't remember off the top of my head. So under pressure, his time to throw under pressure was 4.16 seconds, 8th best in week one. So he was in the top 10, even under pressure. He had more time to throw than anybody. He's just holding on to the ball too long. 4.87 seconds on sacks. That was the time from snap to sack, was 4.87 seconds. And throughout his career on sacks, he has 5.36 seconds to throw. That's since 2022, right? That's the number since 2022, since he came to Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's holding on to the ball the longest of any quarterback. And he has the most time of any quarterback to throw. It's not a protection issue. Gee, you're 100% right. It's a processing issue. He doesn't know what he's seen. There were guys open down the field, and he couldn't find them, and he didn't see them. And you can talk about the drops, but his expected completion percentage was about 64%, which was still fourth worst for all of week 1. So even if you can factor in all of those drops.
Right. Expected completion percentage, for those who don't know, that in a way assumes that says that ball that was a drop should have been caught.
Yeah.
But there's other plays that were bad throws, you know.
Right. So he still would have been fourth lowest in the NFL, even with everything had gone perfectly.
Yeah.
So there you see the expected points added per play, second lowest in the NFL. Daniel Jones was the only quarterback who was worse in expected points per play. This is a quarterback issue. Was the protection perfect? No, I'm not saying it was perfect. They had way too many penalties. That's a coaching issue. They had formation penalties, false starts, holdings. All that stuff needs cleaned up. But the protection, like, guys, they had 4/5 of their offensive line. Jed was missing. James Hudson was starting left tackle. Everybody else is out there.
Yeah.
The same line as last year. Same line that
it was weird that they were describing DeJuan Jones as a backup.
He's
on the
starting right tackle.
Make any sense,
he's the starting right tackle.
Yeah.
So this idea that he didn't have enough time to throw is simply not true. Under pressure, and this is all numbers by PFF. And shout out to Jason Sterrett. He's a Clevelander. He used to work with us at The Athletic. He now works at True Media, which is the company that really does all of this stuff. I was working with him last night to make sure that we were accurate on all of these numbers. And pressure by PFF is anytime you're hit, hurried, or sacked. So anytime under pressure, he's still ranked in the top 10 yesterday among all week 1 quarterbacks in time to throw. And part of what makes Deshaun great throughout his career is his ability to hold onto the ball and extend plays. That's all true. But the playmaking part is gone. All we have right now is a quarterback standing back there holding onto the ball too long and not sure what to do with it. And it winds up looking like what you saw yesterday. And that's the part I don't think anybody has an explanation for where it went and why suddenly it doesn't look like he can't see what's in front of him. There are countless plays yesterday you can pull up and see he was open, he was open, he was open. He left a clean pocket. Why'd you leave a clean pocket? You didn't need to flush. You didn't need to get flushed. So you had plenty of time. And we talked about there's 2 fade routes to the end zone. He's throwing the ball 7 yards out of bounds. The sideline route, he threw it to CeeDee Lamb 7 yards off the sideline.
Yeah.
This is a crisis. It's a quarterback crisis going on right now. And it's one game. It's one game. But it's a continuation of what we've seen before is what's most alarming.
If you look at the advanced stats on Deshaun, like I know some of these stats are confusing. Some of the fans don't understand EPA. I don't even know how you figure out EPA.
It has.
I know it's about efficiency, but I don't.
It's the play call. It's down and distance.
Right,
it's where the ball is on the field.
The numbers may be confusing, but he's been near the bottom of the league in most of these stats since he's been here. And then if you look at the old school numbers, the passing yards, terrible. The completion percentage, terrible. The turnovers, terrible. Mike, go ahead. I know you wanted to chime in on this.
Yeah, when Jason was sending me some of the numbers this morning, I was actually going through watching the All-22 again. Me, Earl, and Ant sat down. We watched every pass Deshaun made yesterday.
Yeah.
In terms of the protection, in real time, it looked terrible. In hindsight, it wasn't good. Let's call a spade a spade. It wasn't good, but a lot of the pressures came from Deshaun holding onto the ball. And that's part of what makes Deshaun great. It's an indictment on the receivers for not creating separation a lot of times. There was a few opportunities for Deshaun to hit an open receiver who was open. He held onto the ball trying to make a bigger play. But it just was such a Manila game plan. And Dallas was on everything Cleveland wanted to do that it's partly Deshaun for holding on to the ball too long. It's partly on the offensive line. It's partly on the coaching staff and the game plan for not having guys more open. It's a culmination of all the above. And I think, G, you said on the postgame show best yesterday. It's like you could list A, Deshaun, B, the offensive line, C, Stefanski. The answer to yesterday's issue was D, all the above. And it's everybody at fault for yesterday. But there was a lot of plays yesterday, especially in terms of pressures from Dallas, where Deshaun had 2-3 seconds of a solid pocket and protection, and he didn't make a play. Didn't make a throw.
To me, Deshaun, when things go well, the quarterback gets a lot of the credit. When things go badly, the quarterback gets a lot of the blame. To me, Deshaun deserves more blame than anybody else. I don't think, frankly, it's close. I don't know what.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, that's fine, but I don't know that he's changing play calls in the huddle. I don't know what he's doing.
Because here's the thing. I told people all week. What did I say? The one thing I said all week. The Cleveland Browns cannot come out here and not have a running game. They didn't even try to run the football. When they tried to run the football, it was nothing. You got to have a run game against 2 defensive ends that are getting upfield. Trust me. I know. I used to play the position. If you guys want to come out here and throw the ball 100 times, great. I got 60 opportunities to rush the passer. And you got Mike Zimmer, a guy crossing the sidelines that's going to bring pressure, that's going to be exotic, that's going to be confusing. The Cleveland Browns and the Jerome Ford experience is like you don't have anything that they're worried about. Even times when Jerome Ford got the football in open space with a little bit of a crevice, he's back there breakdancing, doing kick flips and being Chris Brown and Michael Jackson. It's wild. And they keep putting him back in the game like this man is the next coming. I don't know who they think they got back there. He is minus 10. He is 34, not 24. But you got to find some semblance of a running game. And when in the first quarter, there is no running game, and now guys are teeing off on you, and people is coming from everywhere, and Michael Parsons is getting it going, of course you're going to look like dog crap. Now, Watson was throwing the rock to places where, like I said, Watson was throwing the ball. He was inaccurate. There was times he was holding the football. But I'm going to also say this. That is the worst game plan I've ever seen in my life. That Kevin Stefanski game plan or Dorsey game plan, whatever it was, when you saw the Cowboys, what were the Cowboys doing? Mixing it up. Here goes the stretch play. Here's a little fullback game. Here's a little toss over here. Hey, we're going to mix it up with Myles Garrett. We're going to three-step him. We're going to put the fullback over. Mike McCarthy had a game plan that was way better than what we did, and it was basic. It was JV.
Well, and how do we know that Kevin Stefanski's game plan, if the quarterback can't execute it, is it the coach's fault?
Can he call the run play?
I mean, maybe he did and Deshaun Watson checked out. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't believe Deshaun Watson checked out of every single run play.
I'm with G. I don't think they had no intent of running the ball yesterday.
None.
But that's part of the offense. Like this is what they're going to do.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the problem I got. I'm going to be honest with you. Like my cousin said this. Watching Deshaun Watson in this offense is like watching like Terrell Pryor when you just wanted him to be a 5-star thrower. And they kept telling us it was a 5-star recruit and it's Terrell Pryor. And he would get back there and sometimes he would have some flicker of something. But for the most part, you're like, I'm not seeing. This was the dude y'all was getting. And to me, I think they're more enamored with being like, okay, well, let's go have this offense based on what Deshaun does. And I don't know if you basing that on what Deshaun used to do or what Deshaun is today.
Well, what is he today? I don't know.
And if it's based on what he used to do, you can't. I'm with Jason. I'm looking at this guy, and granted, it's one game. It could turn around. Who knows, right? He has to get it together. But that guy that used to hold the football, and then when he held the football, he was escape. He can still escape the rush, right? Mm-hmm. But it looks like he lost a step.
It does.
Like if in that step in the NFL is the difference between you being a magician and you just holding the ball too long. Before he would be able to get out of pressure, move around, escape somebody, and then in the open field have the arm, the angles, the placement to get people and to operate in chaos. Now he can still escape, but he doesn't have that burst that he used to have. And it seems that he does not have the arm accuracy to play out of sorts in chaos. To do Patrick Mahomes, to do that, you got to be able to be pinpoint and hit the. When he gets out of the pocket, there's a couple times where he threw the ball and it skipped to somebody. It was just short.
Yep.
Right? So to me, how old is Deshaun?
28, I think.
20. I'll confirm. I believe he's 28.
You're pushing 30, and I'm not saying he's washed.
28, and he turns 29 next week.
0 for 10 on passes 15 or more yards.
He's the first, according to CBS. I saw this. Leave Steve this graphic up. According to CBS, they have tracked 1,752 games where a quarterback has attempted 10 or more passes of 15 yards downfield. He is the first quarterback to not complete a pass. The first in 1,752 occurrences, according to CBS Sports.
It's just like basketball. Every guard wants to be like, oh, I could pick and roll and I could create. No, you can't. Some of y'all got it. Some of y'all got to run the offense. Some people can't be just no maestro and I'm going to control the game. You can't do that. Maybe Chris Paul or LeBron. Sometimes he got to make you understand, maybe you not a move out of a platform creator no more. Maybe you got to throw the ball on time, in structure, and be on time and run the offense.
Well, that's what they tried to make him last year.
Well, he might have to go back to that because this ain't working.
That's what they try. I mean, that's what Kevin's offense. That's exactly what Kevin's offense was.
And everybody said you had to give him his freedom. We had our man's. By the way, we didn't really know it was coming, but great job by Mike last minute on Friday putting together the ultimate. What'd you call it?
Ultimate Cleveland fan show.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah, I did. I just saw
With
that.
Evan 419 and
No, I
Xavier
didn't see
P.
it. Yeah. I didn't see it.
He had the two of them on. They got it was another spinoff of on our show.
Yeah.
Those two guys, and they did a nice. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched.
They did a
half
great
of it.
job.
They did a great job, and Xavier P, who at this point feels like the last remaining Deshaun Watson apologist.
Oh no, there's still more.
There, okay, but first thing he said in the thing with Mike was, you got to give him his freedom. You got to give him his freedom to do whatever the hell he wants.
He got 4 more games.
Well,
of
he
that.
got it. It didn't work out.
He got 4 more games of that.
Yes.
Look, listen, I'm married to the results. I don't care. I don't eat birthday cake with nobody. I'm married to the results, bro. Nobody's inviting me to no cookout. I'm going to just keep it real with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm watching that game, and I didn't see it. Like I said, from top to bottom, I didn't see it. And they got it. That little room of what they got going on, they better figure it out. Dorsey and Stefanski, or whatever the case may be. There's a certain thing for you to get comfortable, but sometimes you got to have a come to Jesus moment. Like where you sit down and be like, hey, listen, we've been trying a lot of stuff, but we cannot win games if you're doing X, Y, and Z, right? Like you're going to have to think about what it is. And it's not about, to me, it's not about, oh, well, who's the most, because here, the organization is here. Flacco's not coming through that door. Baker Mayfield is not coming back through that door. And yeah, we can chant and we can do whatever we want, but the Cleveland Browns better start figuring out what they're going to do and what they need to do with this offense and this quarterback, because guess what? It's going to be I'm telling you, it's going to be some reevaluations if after these 4 games if it don't look good, if it don't look better, dramatically better.
Dramatically better is the key, no doubt about it. By the way, speaking of cookouts, that reminds me, shout out to our buddy Darren Smith, who covers the Chiefs in Kansas City, who unfortunately is dealing with some health issues.
Yeah, man.
He went in the hospital yesterday, and we, Mike and G and I talk with him a lot on text, and we love Darren. He's a great guy.
Shout out to him,
and we're
man.
hoping for the best for him. Hopefully he's going to be okay, but we're thinking of you, Darren. Go ahead, Mike.
I have a question on the offense, but I'm going to ask it after I do a quick read from Game Time. You guys know we love Game Time. It is the easiest place to get your tickets online to any sporting event, baseball, basketball, football, concert, comedy show. If you're not using Game Time, you're not doing it right. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time has priority seating. You can get your full panoramic view from your seat. They have their lowest price guarantee. They also have the best ticket coverage in the entire industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's Game Time. Okay, question for you guys.
Yes.
G, you touched on this a little bit. And Steve, get 20 ready because I'm going to call for it 1 sec. We were promised all offseason a new-look offense. And from the initial review, it didn't really look like a new-look offense yesterday. It looked quite similar to what we saw in the past. Steve, if you take 20 full, this is Deshaun's pass chart from the first half yesterday. This is just the first half of the game. Greens are completions. Red's an interception. Uncolored dot is an incompletion. Do you think we'll get more of a new-look offense moving forward? Or do you think the Browns and Kevin Stefanski feel they might be handcuffed because of Watson's limitations to sticking with this super short, vanilla, intermediate to underneath passing attack?
You know, before you guys answer that, it's interesting because a couple of weeks ago, Deshaun Watson's quarterback coach, Quincy Avery, said Deshaun's got his arms as strong as it's ever been. Well, the way they were throwing yesterday made you think his arm's still not right. I don't know. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, I do think that their depth will improve as the season goes on. I would think. And actually, his average depth of target wasn't as. I think he actually surpassed Dak by the end of the game. I mean, that's just not on completions, just on depth of trying to get it there. They were taking deep shots late. I think a couple of factors here. Number one, Dallas is a really good defense. Number two, because they had no time together in the preseason, this was their first time together. So it was a lot of short and quick. The thing that was confusing to me about the offense, not even just the depth of the target, was it didn't look that much different to me from last year. Like the shotgun RPO thing that we thought we were going to see was non-existent. And I talked to a couple players who said there was a couple RPOs. They did have a couple called RPOs in there. I think at least one was negated by penalty. But this looked a whole. I mean, I saw Deshaun under center running play action a couple of times, which is what we saw last year. So I don't know. Maybe the grand unveiling comes next week. But so far, it looked like last year's offense to me. I didn't see a ton of difference. Am I wrong?
The route concepts were very similar. We talked about it on the postgame show. The route concepts very, very similar to last year.
Look, man. The frustrating part about it is, it's just like, man, I'm just tired of watching 1986, man. This is just 86. It's just like I was told something. We need to get rid of all the Brown CIA operatives. We're getting wrong intel. Listen, we're going to war in Afghanistan over massive weapons and we ain't got none. That's the bad intel we getting right now. This is crazy. Like we were said RPOs. I didn't see one motion play. Where's the motion? Where's the running back and forth? Where's the bunch formations? Where are I didn't see the RPO stuff. It was simple 5. And here's the thing too. If you got a quarterback that is not processing plays correctly or plays fast enough, the worst thing in the world you can do is put him in 5 wide, because now everything speeds up.
Yep.
Somebody could blitz and he has to throw hot. If you have a quarterback that's slow processing, you don't put him in 5 wide. Ask yourself, how many times do you see Mahomes in 5 wide? No. There's always a running back. There's always a tight end. Like, I don't know why they think that's the answer, but that offense that we saw was not different than anything we said. Like Jason said, they was running play action. They got under, and it's wild because they can't even run the type they want to because they don't have that many tight ends. It's like a crisis of identity. Like when I watch the Browns on offense and people say what went wrong, it was so bad and so vanilla that I don't even know. I can't gauge what it was they were trying to accomplish. Because they didn't try to run the ball. They weren't attacking vertically. They weren't throwing screens. I don't know what that was. And getting in 3rd and 10 and throwing under the sticks, you got to stop doing that.
They did it almost every time.
Before you go, there was one person who kept telling you, this is not good, guys. This is a disaster.
He said it.
Zach Jackson came on here.
He did.
Kept saying,
hey,
this is awful. This looks terrible. Nothing looks good.
I'll give him credit.
He was right.
And
I'll give him credit.
He was
Tyvus,
right.
by the way, was also right that the Nick Chubb was a bigger loss than Deron Bland in this game.
Yeah, 100%.
He was right about that.
100%.
Well, I think we expected Deshaun to be able to throw the ball more than 10 yards, which negates the Deron Bland aspect. But
yeah, I mean, the offense did look the same. It didn't look creative. I don't know. I think 2 years in a row, we've all just said it was going to be different, and then it became, the Browns said it was going to be different.
Well, Deshaun talked about the changes, and it was going to be different. They were going to run choice routes now, and it's between him and the receiver what they're going to run based on the scheme that they see at the line of scrimmage. So
they even talked about it on the broadcast. They said the NASCAR package there early.
They ran one play on the second drive. They went up-tempo, and Brady called it out, and he mentioned the NASCAR package on that play. And we didn't see it again after that.
By the way, did we have some time to talk about how awful Tom Brady was?
Yeah, at the end of the show.
Okay.
We got it's built in.
We're gonna get to that too. I thought that was AI.
Man.
I thought they body swapped him.
Jeez. He missed training camp too, apparently.
we will get to that.
Ouch.
We'll get to that. But hold up, Bull, to your point, you said the
Yeah.
last 2 years we've just talked ourselves into it.
Yeah.
I'll give you that last year. They brought in a new offensive coordinator.
Right.
They brought in a new quarterback coach. They brought in a new running backs coach. They have a new offensive line coach. You would think, despite the fact Stefanski's still the one calling plays and he's still in charge of everything, with all that change and the way they talked about it and wanting to let Deshaun play more freely, give him more options, these choice routes, these RPOs, all that, it was either the world's greatest prank and mirage or they lied to us.
I don't know. Maybe they just felt like maybe Deshaun's shoulder's still not 100%. Maybe they were because he didn't play in the I don't know what it was. Maybe they were being extremely conservative this first game, and as they go, they're going to loosen up a little more. But that's an indictment too, that they weren't prepared for week one.
They totally were not prepared for week one. The one positive you could say about Deshaun, obviously he took a lot of hits, and he kept getting up.
He made it through the game.
So the shoulder, I think.
Tough as shit.
I was surprised he was still playing on that. Like, what was the point at the end?
The hit he took, the throw he made to Amari Cooper that just went through Cooper's hands at the end. Well, I thought it was his best throw of the whole game. Yeah. And he stood in the pocket, down by 23 points, and took a freaking shot from a 320-pound lineman. Like, toughness cannot be questioned for this guy.
My only beef with that, sorry, G, my only beef with that, and I agree, he's tough. Is there any quarterback in the NFL you're going to question their toughness?
But, I mean, more importantly.
I just feel like that's nonsense because you can't be tough and be soft and be in the NFL, can you?
Not all of them are tough. Like,
I mean, who's a quarterback who's not tough?
I mean, all the players
Jones.
are tough.
Yeah.
I'll just say this: like, he couldn't come out that game. Like,
he needs the reps.
I guess.
And furthermore than that, he needs to see because he has to get people on his side. Like, you got to endear yourself to your teammates. Like, there's a level of when you are the quarterback and people believe in you and believe in what you preaching and believe in what you're saying. One of the true innate talents of great quarterbacks is to make people around them believe that even if you down 50 with 1 minute to go, you can still win. And they play inspired. They will play above their head. They will go out and leave their feet. That's why it was disappointing for me, because when I saw Amari Cooper, I'm like, Amari Cooper makes that play. That ain't a play Amari Cooper don't make.
No.
Like, it didn't seem as if there was people going out of their way to, like, say, no, guys, we got – and that was, to me, that was the most alarming thing, because they got punched in the face and never really fought back.
No.
At home.
No response. There was no legitimate response
Never really stepped up and said, hey, we could do this. Now, I didn't want to bring this up, but we're here now. We say the last 2 years that the offense has not been what they've told us. I got to believe that one of the things that was the biggest thing that they brought Deshaun Watson in for was the thought process was, look, if we can get that guy with Nick Chubb, he can cover up a lot of things. And I think for a lot of years here, under the Stefanski regime, Nick Chubb covered up a lot of stuff. Nick Chubb can make the first guy miss. Nick Chubb makes something out of nothing. He's a home run hitter. He is the mixer of what they got. And the thought process was, if we get Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb, that's something we can work on and we can move. But when you take Nick Chubb out and now you want to move to a predominant passing game, you're starting to see the growing pains of what you have to be as a quarterback to throw the ball and be the lead dog. It's on my shoulder every day. But I think they miss Nick Chubb more than people will exponentially know.
And that's fair, but he never had a good running game in Houston, and he was great.
But here's the thing. That Houston Deshaun, that's what, to me, we say Houston.
That's gone.
Houston Deshaun wasn't good enough. That's what we got to get to. Yes, that was nice and pretty, but that Houston Deshaun, that wasn't good enough to beat the people that he needed to beat. Right? Like, we act like he was winning Super Bowls in Houston.
You know,
no.
That's fair, but he played at an elite level in Houston.
Yes.
He played individually at an elite level in Houston. And obviously, when you traded for him and you paid him, that's what you were expecting.
Yeah,
we weren't expecting him to be a system quarterback. We weren't expecting him to be
I'll take a system quarterback at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
the numbers he's putting up are in like
terrible.
the Daniel Jones level.
I had somebody, obviously this question is going to come up after what Baker did yesterday. And, like, Baker's irrelevant at this point, but
he had a great game. Somebody
asked me, would you rather have Baker right now? And yeah, I mean, you would. I mean, it's fair.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I know it's silly. Yeah. I know it's silly at this point, but the guy asked me the question, so I answered.
No,
honestly.
it's fine. Yeah.
I didn't think Baker was the long-term answer. We've been through this a million times. It really is silly to read.
Right.
The point is,
we can't do it after every game.
Right.
But he
the
played
point
great
is that
yesterday.
Deshaun has been so bad that
Baker would be an upgrade.
It would be an upgrade right
Yeah.
now. Right now, yes.
That's fair.
To me, I just look at it and I say, you might have to just say it's not what you used to be. It's what are we doing today, man?
Right, that's true.
Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing today to get this dude playing? You got to turn over every leaf. And I know people saying, oh, you're flip-flopping. Oh, you're being a knee-jerk reaction. It's just one game. No, there are certain things that happen on a football field that when any player or former player sees it, it's alarming. Energy level, not being ready to go on the first. And then two, the leadership factor. It's almost like you can't be the quarterback and be at arm's length. It just seemed like he arm's length away from people. Like, I don't see the interaction. I don't know what he's doing in the locker room, but I know that at certain point in times when any quarterback see the ship sinking, it's fight or flight.
I saw Lamar Jackson in the Ravens.
Right.
He's getting up with his teammates. He's like talking to him. He's screaming.
Like, let's go. Like, I saw Dak moving up and down.
I don't think we. Maybe we have. Maybe it's happened and we just don't see it on TV. I feel like I never see. Did Deshaun ever do that? You were at the game, Jason. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I wasn't watching. I'm not going to act like I had binoculars on him the whole time. When I saw him, no, he wasn't doing that.
It seems like
But
he's
that
just
doesn't mean he
always
didn't.
just standing there.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing.
And everybody has their own way of leading. I'm not saying everybody has to be a rah-rah guy, but I want to let people know, like for the Cleveland Browns, I've seen this happen before where you have expectations, a few bad things happen in the beginning of the season, and it just carries and carries and snowballs. Sometimes you got to sense that and stop it right in its tracks. Like, guys, we're not going to do that. Let's get it going.
Yeah, and you can't. Your quarterback's got to be a leader. You're right. Some guys are more yellers or more raw, but on some level, your quarterback's got to be the leader. He's the most important player on the team. He's got to be a leader. I remember covering the Giants when Eli Manning first went to the Giants, and that was a veteran team, and Tiki Barber was kind of the leader of that offense. And when Eli Manning first took over, Tiki Barber still kind of ran the offense. And they didn't become a good team until Eli took control of that team. The quarterback's got to lead the way. Other guys can be leaders throughout the team, but the quarterback's got to lead the way. I believe that, especially, specifically for the offense. And doesn't appear to be the case.
Can you think of an instance where the quarterback wasn't the leader?
On the team that won?
Yeah, like the Ravens.
Not
like
recently.
Ray Lewis, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably it. Not in this era of the NFL.
I can't think of one. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, certainly like the 85 Bears. I don't really think of –
I think McMahon was, actually.
Yeah, he was.
Kind
Even though he wasn't that good.
He's a nut job.
One last thing on this, and we'll move on. Joe Thomas, before I show you the clip, Joe Thomas said this is not a big issue. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It made its way around social media, so I just want to bring it up real quick.
Yeah.
But this was late in the game, so if you could take it full. Batonio, after a play, Watson tries to help him up, and Batonio says, "Get out of here, I got it myself."
Whoa.
Joe Thomas said,
Joe's
"No big
response
deal."
was great. Do you have it? Do you have Joe's response?
I can bring it up. It's going to be too long for Social News Desk, because Social News Desk is a joke, but we can give you what Social News Desk will actually show you.
Joe handled this perfectly in Joe's
In
special.
fairness, as much as we love Joe, he's never critical of the Browns.
No, but I hear you.
Yeah.
But on this, I think
You
he's
want me to
right.
read it?
He's right.
Yeah, just
He's
read
right.
it.
Go ahead.
Just
I'm going to
read
read
it.
you Joe Thomas' response. Ant's going to pull it up when it's ready. Social News Desk won't show you the whole thing because Social News Desk is a joke. It sucks. We hate you, Social News Desk.
All right.
Here's what Joe Thomas said, quote, "Whether Joel loves Deshaun or hates Deshaun, I have no idea. But this video doesn't tell you anything. Big old offensive linemen are like turtles. And as you can see, it's going to cut you off right here because it sucks. We can't get up unless we roll over and do the push-up to or kneel to stand routine. Achy backs, big bellies, lots of bracing on our knees and ankles. It's nearly impossible to help us up like that. We just can't bend like the skinny skill guys. I did that several times in my career, and then people realized to not try and help me up anymore. Carry on, nothing to see."
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
I believe Joe on this one.
I've done it. I've seen it. I've done it millions of times. And you're just like, bro, you're not going to, you know how strong you got to be to lift up a 300-pound man with one arm. This is not basketball, and that is not Darius Garland.
And Joel Batonio's a lot more than 300 pounds.
That's not nothing, man.
With braces. I love the turtle reference, though.
And I love
like turtles.
I love how he said, I don't know if he liked Deshaun Watson or hates him.
Yeah, right.
I mean, who knows? He might hate him, and he could have did that, or he loved him and hated him. But I don't think that says anything.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of the offensive line, we're going to get to that next.
We're going to get to it after a word word from Prize Picks, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money as quickly as 15 minutes. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can even double your money if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's promo code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks for $50 off when you play just $5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Jason, you mentioned this earlier. We talked about it on the post-game show, but 4 of the 5 offensive linemen for the Browns, at least their starters, did play yesterday, and the line didn't look great. But my question is, are the issues that they did have, are they fixable for next week?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it would help having Jed back. I think Jed's an upgrade over James Hudson.
I thought I'd never in 100 years.
Are you on to my Jed is average?
Oh my Lord!
Well, and what
I never thought.
Is why Conklin practiced for 2 weeks? It just seems weird that
I thought Jack would be ready to go.
Yeah,
but certainly between Jack or Jed, one of them would be an upgrade. One of them would be an upgrade over Hudson. There were times yesterday that Deshaun was in places that the line did not expect him to be, and that led to 1 or 2 of the sacks too, where he's moving around. You're sliding, you're sliding protection one way because you think the quarterback's over here, when in actuality he's over here, and you turn around and he's on the ground. You're like, wait a minute, why were you over there? You weren't supposed to be over there. And I'm not blaming Deshaun. Sometimes you get in the heat of battle and you're just moving around. You're trying to keep a play alive. So that I don't necessarily blame him, but I think it's just a fact. It was a lot of different factors coming together. Is it fixed? Yeah, of course it can be fixed. Now, this is a line that should be able to run block pretty well. I don't think they have a back who can run the ball. We've said that about Jerome Ford. He had 2 good runs last year. One against the Steelers and one against, who was the other team he broke off a long run against?
Indy. He had the long run in the first quarter.
That's it. Did he have any other memorable plays last year?
Yeah, he had 4 runs of 60-plus yards.
Okay.
And then he had more runs than anyone else that got stopped behind the line of scrimmage. It was truly feast or famine.
I don't remember the other 2. I only remember 2 of the long runs.
I mean, it's easy to just say, well, Bill Callahan wasn't there, so they had plenty of bad offensive line games with Bill Callahan too.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to say, I know people are going to think, I don't think it was a bad offensive line game. I really don't.
I didn't think it was as bad as some
I don't
people
think
made it
it's
out.
that bad. I'm more concerned, the procedure stuff and the formation stuff.
That was awful.
The league's
They had
cracking
7
down on the
penalties.
formation. Yeah, that stuff, and yes, that can be cleaned up.
DeJuan Jones had at least 2 penalties on him.
And Hudson had at least 1 or 2.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that needs cleaned up. The actual protection, people may totally disagree. I really didn't. And I know we probably sped through it. It's hard to try and communicate it all. The data shows you that the protection was not that bad.
Here's why all of it, and you go into the offensive line play and why. I'm just tired of seeing guys get penalties, be undisciplined, all this stuff, and you can't be behind the sticks, and they're committing these fouls, and then acting like nothing is there. Guys just turning around, walking back 10 yards. That is a bunch of crap. Somebody needs to let them know, guys, you're screwing us right now. If you can't line up, the first thing they teach you in camp, stance, start, line up correctly. It is way too, it's too prevalent. You cannot hold and get caught for holding, and illegal man downfield, and illegal man's hands to the face, and false starts, and you walk back 5 yards like nothing is wrong. No, you just put us back behind the sticks, and now it's 1st and 20. We don't have an offense that can deal with 1st and 20 or 1st and 15, or when we do get a positive play, it's coming back because you can't line up on time. No, I don't there has to be a level of urgency, and I want somebody up front to have some urgency too and say, guys, we can't do that as a front. We can't do it. And if we want to, those guys, Batonio got to see on his chest too. He's been a captain up here. He has to say, look, you know what? We got to be better. The quarterback was on the ground 17 times, 20 times. We got to be better. We got penalties. We got to be able to run the football. What happened to the Wyatt Teller that was road grading people? I need to see the 2-for-1 BOGO, buy one, get one free. I need to see the physicality up front, the double teams to the next level. I don't see it. And by the way, you grown men, if you saying you can't put your hand in the dirt and fire off the ball and be nasty because another grown man went to another job, I'm confused. That is not what life is about.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Callahan's gone. I don't block no more. No. What? You been in this league how long? You ain't nobody up there, no rookies.
That's right. They're all veteran players.
They're veterans.
Obviously Hudson hasn't played too much, and but
he's still been in the league,
a number of years.
4 years now?
DeJuan Jones is a young player. The three guys in the middle have been here forever. I mean, there's no excuse. I don't want to hear about the offensive line coach at all. The offensive line wasn't as bad as those numbers, but it wasn't good. I didn't think it was good. I thought it was mediocre at best, the offensive line, especially at tackle, but especially in the run game. I agree. The run game, there were very few holes. I know some of it is Jerome Ford, but I did not think they did a good job of run blocking. I can't blame Jerome Ford for the whole thing. I didn't think they did very well. I'll be interested to see the PFF grades for whatever they're worth, but
come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Look, man, you're going against, and here's the thing too. Andrew Berry has known all along the health of these tackles, Bull.
Yeah.
Why is James Hudson still all-time left swing tackle?
I don't understand.
I'm confused. I know you drafted him. I know you did. But James Hudson, you can't find. Who's the dude? The Christensen dude is better than him. Go find him.
He got cut by the Titans. He's sitting on a practice squad
but
right
they
now.
had they were like 5'6" veteran offensive linemen. Then a month ago, he said, "Why not sign one of these guys?"
And you keep trotting out James Hudson.
He is not. I don't even think he's an NFL player, James Hudson. I mean,
it's baffling. It's really baffling. This is why these shows are difficult to do. You could pull a name out of the hat, and you could go on a 10-minute rant about every name that you pulled out of a hat. The good thing about this game is you get another opportunity to prove yourself. You get another opportunity to get on the board. If the Browns take care of business and go and beat who they got next week, Jacksonville. If they beat Jacksonville and people play like they got some sense and it's the regular season, we'll come back and everything will look a lot better. But for today, here's how I handle the Browns. It's week to week with me. I don't care what you did last week. It's week to week. You don't get passes. You don't get no reprieves. My job is to analyze what you did against that team and then move on to the next one. And they got to get back to the fundamentals because that was not it. It just wasn't. And I feel sorry for the people that went out there. Like, and Coach, you can't keep asking the fans to go out there and make noise and to bring energy. It is your job. The one thing, your prerequisite for every one of those guys on that roster is to bring energy. That's it. That's your ticket. That's the price of admission. And I just didn't see that. We having this conversation like this was week 8. This is week 1.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah. The one thing that should never be in doubt is how hard you're playing and where your intensity level is. No matter how good a player you are, there's no reason for that not to be there. By the way, I know it's easy to criticize now that they lost. I thought it was cool that some of the Browns players, including Myles Garrett, went to tailgating.
Oh, that was great.
I thought that was
and Donovan
awesome.
Mitchell.
That was beautiful.
Mike, did you shoot that video? Were you down there?
Yeah. It's like the most viral video I've ever tweeted. See if you take it full. But Donovan Mitchell was down there keg bowling.
Did they have – I was looking for security. Did he have security with him?
There were some big dudes. I couldn't tell if it was just his friends or security.
I'd imagine it have to be security.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that they were –
Well, who's going to mess with Donovan Mitchell? The fans love Donovan Mitchell.
You don't ever take a chance. It takes one dude, man.
It takes one loser, yeah.
You can't. You just can't. You have to have security with you in situations like that.
I'm sure he did, but that was really cool that he showed up. But nobody's going to criticize Donovan Mitchell. After you lose, there'll be some people who will be like, Myles Garrett wasn't focused on the game.
No,
That's loser mentality. That's
You're out of here.
If you're
I
going to
loved
blame
it.
Myles, that is such loser
That's
mentality.
stupid. What
I
time,
did not lose
what
because
time was he
Myles
there?
is
10 a.m.?
I thought
11
it was
a.m.?
awesome.
Yeah,
That
it
was so
was.
cool
It
that he
was.
did that.
There's nothing to be critical about with that.
Well,
No. Yeah. By the way, that says a lot about Cleveland because no one has security. Like that means a lot. Like you couldn't have did that at the Giants game.
Oh no way!
Like you don't do that at a Raiders game or something. Like in Cleveland, it just shows you that like people they feel comfortable with the fandom, right?
Did Myles Garrett have anybody with him?
I didn't see Miles in person. Miles had left by the time.
I promise he had some sort of team security with him. He had to. Although, I mean, that's one dude that probably
I'll
don't
say,
need
who's
security.
messing with Miles Garrett down there?
I know.
But
But
for comparison's sake, G, if Daniel Jones showed up to a Yankee game to tailgate,
Oh, no.
Daniel Jones would get jumped and leave with 3 broken kneecaps,
Oh,
and 7
stop.
broken
That's
elbows.
silly. That's silly. And he stinks, unlike Myles Garrett.
You guys are savages up there, man. You guys are crazy in New York, boo. Like, like you have old ladies being like, "You're garbage."
Yeah, but that's fair. That was a big adjustment. The biggest adjustment.
Donovan did have security with him.
Okay.
I just got a text. He had security
The
with him.
biggest adjustment for me when I moved to Cleveland in terms of on air was that in New York, fans shit on their teams all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see the video of Jones getting booed out of the stadium yesterday?
Oh, he deserved it.
That was-
he sucked.
Fans waited 3 hours. Like
Good.
5 fans waited
That's good
3 hours
fans.
just to
Just to
boo him.
boo
leave it.
him.
He's a bum.
I loved it.
I mean,
It's
the guy's
awesome.
a bum.
It was awesome.
Whereas here, fans don't shit on their team unless they get pushed to the extreme level. So that was an adjustment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
They
do.
booed Aaron Judge in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean,
I saw Mariano Rivera get booed once.
Boston, Philly, and New York boo all the time.
Well, it's because Boston and Philly want to be New York. Let's face it.
Whatever.
They're
But
poor
aside from
imitation.
those three, I don't know if there's another fan base around that is
Is Chicago like that? I
Nah,
don't know.
nah.
I'm asking. No.
Hey,
No.
I'm gonna ask this question. I was on my chat the other day, and as I was doing one of these, I just figured I'd get it out of the way. I don't know. I want to get the pulse of the fandom. In the chat, let me know if you feel Deshaun is washed or you still got hope.
We'll make it a poll right now.
Yeah.
We'll get you the answer.
Let's talk about the Tom Brady thing now.
No, let's go
Mike.
defense, then Tom Brady.
All
So
right,
I want to make
fine.
sure we get some defense
Let's go.
in. And before we do defense,
Yeah.
we got a word from BetterHelp. I know some people may be needing some therapy after
Yeah, I think
yesterday's
so.
Browns game. I know I certainly do, and we all need the opportunity to get stuff off our chest, big or small. Certain things in life can really start to get to you, and it's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So if you're feeling down about the Browns game on Sunday, starting a BetterHelp therapy session is a great way to get your mind back in a more positive place. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports teams, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Well, I tweeted out yesterday, I thought the defense was, I said solid, it's okay. You said it was subpar. Before you and I go back and forth,
Yeah.
what do you think of the defense? Solid, subpar, exceptional? Where do you fall on that
F.
that scale?
F.
F.
It's even worse than I
Surprise.
said.
Okay.
And the reason I say F is because the expectation level is there, and I've seen things that happened last year that still continue to happen this year. The thing that's most annoying, if you guys have noticed this,
Yeah.
the Browns are Mike Tyson when he was knocking everybody out. Mm-hmm. Mike Tyson was intimidating. His punches were brutal. He was lightning. He intimidated you. When you come off the bus, you look at him, you're like, he came out there in a towel and black, all black. You're like, this guy is going to kill someone. And 90% of the time, he was going to knock you out in the first round. That's the Cleveland Browns. They look the part. They're fast. They're aggressive. They play a certain style. And if they catch you, they can knock you out of a game in the first round. But the Cowboys realize what a lot of teams are going to start doing to the Browns defense. If you play ball control, if you don't go for monster massive plays, if you don't drop back and start throwing the ball all crazy, if you just methodically work the football, take what they give you, the longer that fight lasts, the more chance of you got to last the fight and win that round on technical points. And the Browns, if you notice, if they don't get you out on a 3 and out, The longer these series and drives go, their energy goes down.
Yep.
The guys start rotating in and out of the game. Then you start to say, well, where's Myles Garrett at? Where's Myles Garrett? Or where is the pressure? If you make them continuously work, they get tired and their spirit becomes deflated. Go back and watch last year. Teams that with veteran quarterbacks, the Broncos game, it looked like that. A lot of these games where the quarterback don't have crazy yards, but it's super effective. And the last thing before I turn it back to you guys is this. Jim Schwartz, you were tasked with coming with a different wrinkle. First series of that game, second series, 3-0. Dak Prescott is back there. He realizes that you got the double mug press coverage, right? He knows you're coming with the all-out blitz. You know what he does? He audibles to the double China route, post corner in the end zone, and he lines up Brandon Cooks wide open on Juan Thornhill. The thing is, you showed that blitz and didn't disguise it. And the Browns are great at just being like, we're better than you. We're gonna pull up, and you didn't disguise it. He made the audible, and he threw and stood in there, took the hit, and made a touchdown. Like, you're gonna have to come with something where there's wrinkles back there. You can't just roll the ball out and say, I got Myles Garrett, and let's play man coverage all game. Because when you do that, you open yourself up for high risk, high reward. I didn't like the game plan, and I'm telling you, they still don't know how to cover a jet motion.
And a lot to bite off of what you just put out there, G. Number one, on that play where they got Cooks, that was a great play by Dak.
Great.
Because he saw it coming. He knew he was about to get smoked.
Million miles away.
And a lot of guys will kind of shot, they'll leave it. And I didn't think he was great yesterday. I thought he was okay. I wasn't one of his best games.
He's okay.
We've seen him play a lot better than that.
He missed some throws.
He missed some throws. But on that play, and it's easy to say, well, Cooks was wide open. Yeah, because of the play call, but he had to stay in there and wait till the last possible second for Cooks to come open, and that's tough. When you see that hit coming, it wasn't like it was from behind.
And he threw it before he was out of his break. He anticipated it.
Yes, exactly.
And you don't want to go back to the comparison thing, but those are the plays that really define top quarterback play.
That's right.
You could throw it with anticipation.
Yep. Wow. And that's what this guy's not doing.
Well, Deshaun Watson took a sack on fourth down. How do you take a sack on fourth down when we didn't even mention that before. He took a sack on fourth down from a guy coming in front of him. That should never happen. Yeah. You just chuck it up. It's fourth down.
And on that play,
who cares?
To Jason's point about time in the pocket,
5.17
seconds before the ball was snapped to when he was sacked.
On that play?
On that fourth down play.
Yeah, that was inexcusable. By the way, who won? Did C.D. Lamb have more catches than Judy and Cooper combined, right?
I mean, that's what
C.D. had...
Go ahead.
Yeah, C.D. had 5 receptions. Judy had 3. Cooper had 2.
Wow.
But C.D. also had 3 rushes. So he had more overall
it doesn't
carries.
count,
doesn't count.
But it was all those numbers were lower than we expected.
I mean, but they kind of went away from him.
Yeah, it was weird.
He was cooking them early.
Yeah.
He had catches on all 3 corners, within the first 2 drops.
That one catch he had against Denzel Ward was unbelievable.
That's insane.
He set him. See, that's a beautiful thing about what they did. When you're playing you're playing against the Browns defense. What that is they was working the jab. They was working the jab, keeping them at arm's length. They come out the first drive, hit C.D. Lamb. They're like, no, you got to think about that. They come hit him underneath. You got to think about that. Jet motion with C.D. Lamb. You got to think. Now it kind of neutralizes you a little bit. You can't be as aggressive.
Yeah.
I like what the game plan was, and by the time that they already showed what they had, now the little stuff was open, the fullback stuff, and the bootlegs, and just. And
they ran the ball their running numbers weren't gaudy, and they know.
But they ran more with Zeke than I expected.
They ran with Zeke, and they were creative in how they used him. They kind of ran him in different ways and from different spots. And Zeke was fine. He played a perfectly decent game.
I don't know if CD had a catch in the second half.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the game was over after the punt return.
Well, I'll tell you something I don't like, and maybe this is me being a curmudgeon. I'm usually not bothered by these type of things. But I hate the celebrating.
I'm with you.
When you're down by 20
When you're down 17 and you're doing this.
I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And
maybe we are the old man in the clouds.
Game, do whatever the hell you want. I don't care. But I'm down 20 points in the fourth quarter. I'm not doing no celebrating. I'm pissed.
I took somebody out on my NCAA college football game for doing that on accident. I was on my dynasty. We is loser. I said, get out of here. Coach, get him together. Matter of fact, I want to see you on Monday. Yeah, I'm a celebration guy. Look, dude, I got glasses on inside of a building.
That's right.
Like I'm all for the show and dog and pony show, but you gotta have some awareness, bro. You're strumming the instrument. They looking at you like, bro, we been took our foot off the gas. Like we been let you off the hook. We could have put 40 on y'all if we wanted to.
We broke down the band and put it in the truck.
By the way,
and you're out here strumming the guitar.
I am so pissed that Holmgren did not allow that guy to try that 71-yard field.
I'm with you.
I wanted to see it.
He made the 66.
I think he would have made it.
You know who was more pissed? The kicker.
Oh, yeah.
He was hot.
Evidently, this guy, and it's crazy because, I lost a fantasy game because this dude had like 97 points as a kicker. By the way, we talk about the defense.
Yeah, I still got a couple thoughts on the defense.
The defense, in the half, you know their kicker has a monstrous leg.
Yeah.
You've seen it
Right.
up close to person. You let them get a deep comeback route of 15 yards on the sideline. They didn't even have to use the timeout that they had.
I know. That's true.
I said, what are we asleep at the wheel?
Yes.
What was that?
Yeah. Yep.
Come on, Jim. What was that? And can we lump in the special teams? Hey, listen, they let a kick bounce inside the 21 time. Darden did a decent job in the first return, but after that, come on, Bubba. You can't give up. They've tried to get rid of special teams. And they're keeping it because you let people run it back. They're like, the data in the league is like, see? I told you the special teams weren't dead. The Browns keep giving up.
Yeah, they did.
What?
That was the first touchdown return.
It was a punt return. DJ Dallas had the first kicker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
A couple thoughts on the defense, though, real quick, guys.
Yeah.
So we talked about JOK. I've been on the JOK train all offseason expecting this massive second-year leap.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was even in the game till the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
he made
he was
a tackle.
a non-factor.
He was quiet in the first three quarters. He finished the game with 9 tackles, 6 solos, and a pass defended, but a very quiet.
No big plays,
Yeah. Myles Garrett had the strip sack in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure he made a play after that.
No,
and
that was a great play, but
it was an incredible play. Yeah, he beat Guyton.
Nothing, yeah.
They highlighted it. He had the nice rip through, got nice leverage, bend the corner. But after that, he was quiet, and Dak had way more time in the pocket behind 2 rookie offensive linemen than Deshaun did with 1 non-starter off his offensive lineman.
Darius Smith did nothing.
Even though he had a sack.
Dalvin Tomlinson, I thought, put Dak Prescott into the crust of the earth on the second play of the game. I mean, that was one of the most violent sacks I've seen in a while in terms of, like, clean hits. He was MIA after that. Quentin Jefferson, Shelby Harris, Mo Hurst, they played. Alex Wright, we didn't hear his name mentioned once.
Oh, my guy, Alex
That was
Wright.
your guy. The only time they ever mentioned his name was when he blew containment on a CeeDee Lamb sweep. It just was...
you were unblocked, bro. You were unblocked, and you ran right past it. Yeah.
It was sad. Did Jordan Hicks play yesterday?
He finished a third on the team with 7 tackles, but you wouldn't
even
know.
He was there.
Yeah.
And that's my point. And when I said they played okay, they gave up the punt return touchdown. They held. I know Dallas went super vanilla in the second half.
Yeah, you can't talk about what they held them in the second half.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't think they were good. They were okay, but there was just so many times last year in these games where the defense bailed them out with big explosive plays, game-changing plays.
And there was none of that.
And it just wasn't there.
No,
and
there was
that
no
was disappointing.
impact. There were no impact plays.
Especially because, real quick, G, last point, we talked about the home road split. Mm-hmm. It's just a good quarterback, bad quarterback split. I don't care where they play. I think it's kind of been debunked. Against bad quarterbacks, this
we'll
defense
see.
Eats.
We'll find out these next few weeks,
next couple
right?
games.
Because they're playing some bad teams
But
on the road.
That's my working hypothesis now
pivotal.
moving forward. It wasn't home road. It was the quarterbacks they faced.
Watch McNuggets. You're going to watch when I tell you this. The rest of the year, if you don't go 3 and out and you methodically work the ball and take what they give you and don't get sacks, hold the ball, don't fumble, don't give turnovers, as that drive goes along, they begin to get deflated, and the more and more chances are that they're going to – think about it. How many times have you seen the Browns, they walk down the field on the Browns? They're getting 7. There's very few times when they walk down the field and they stop them inside the 20. They usually give up 7 points when that happens.
Speaking of deflated, we got to talk about Tom Brady here in a minute. But again, we got Michael Symon at noon, Bernie Kosar at 12:30. Mike, what do you got for us?
We have 8 reads today, so we're halfway through. Let's get
right.
our next FanDuel read in. You guys know FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's the #1 sportsbook in America, and we have something a little different for you guys right now. Starting now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account, a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. Bull, you and I tweeted almost simultaneously yesterday that we were not impressed with Tom Brady's debut. So I want to let Jason start on this one.
All right.
Well, I didn't hear it.
You didn't hear it, actually.
he didn't hear
Bad
it.
idea.
So,
you can
so
go.
Tom Brady. Here's the thing. Like, it's so funny because Tom Brady came out of college. Nobody had any expectations for him as a football player, and he became the greatest quarterback that's ever lived to this point. Although I think Patrick Mahomes will pass him by the time he retires. And as a broadcaster, the expectations couldn't be higher. They paid him enough money to feed every starving child in the country. They booted Greg Olson, who was very good as an analyst, off the top team. The rest of the broadcast team yesterday, they could barely control themselves. I love Kevin Burkhardt. He is an incredible guy. He's an incredible broadcaster. But between him and Aaron Andrews, I don't know how they sat still. They were so like fanboyish with Tom Brady, and he sucked. Now I understand it's his first game. You give him more time to turn it around. But he was vanilla. I think you said he sounded like AI.
Bro.
He brought nothing to the table. If you go back and listen, he has all these awkward pauses in the middle of his sentences. He didn't criticize anybody. It was like listening to Nick Carnes do a game where you can't criticize the team. I mean,
It was nasty.
it was terrible. He was terrible.
And I'm not a media dude that judges media dudes. Like, I don't know who's good at play-by-play, except for, like, the ones that I listen to, like, that are good. Like, I couldn't tell the difference. People, like, Tony Romo was good, then he was bad. I'm like, I can't tell anywhere where he got bad or good. But this was obvious. Usually you can give somebody time to figure it out or get things done, but you got to have some bones about it. Like, he has to have, like, a foundation and a structure where you can say, I can see the talent right there. I think he get better. He's not cut out to be.
He's got no personality, or at least he's not showing it.
It's not cut out, Jason.
It's a lot harder than people think to do that job, and he just may need to grow into it. They're not paying him to grow into it, though. They're paying him to be a star on day one.
It's hard, Jason. Some guys just got it, and some guys don't.
Yeah.
It's like being a great rapper, but that is like being a great freestyle rapper, like on the spot, go.
Yeah.
What you just see, explain it to me, make it sound cool within 10 seconds.
I'm not a huge Tony Romo guy, but right off the bat, a million times better than
Yes.
Tom
Oh,
Brady.
yeah.
But
Not
that's
even close.
he was the exception. Like Chris Collinsworth wasn't Chris Collinsworth the first time he walked in the booth.
No, but this was like Drew Brees bad. I mean, Greg Olson was really. I mean, there's some guys that are good when they start.
Yeah.
Was
They're at
Greg
least
Olson
decent.
good when he started? I got into
I mean, he hasn't been doing it that long.
I mean, he was way better than his
There's
AI
some
Brady.
guys that suck and don't get better. Jason Witten was terrible. Drew Brees was bad.
Yeah.
Some guys are good right away. He was really bad, I thought, though.
I thought he felt nervous. He felt more nervous than the players
I
out
think
there.
he was very uncomfortable.
I'm
I
sure-
tweeted that real quick, Jason.
Go
I
ahead.
tweeted out yesterday that he felt nervous, and someone was like, "Well, it's his first day on the job. Didn't you suck your first day on the job?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I was making $24,000, not the most money ever in the history of the world to broadcast, and I didn't kick out someone like Greg Olson from the top booth."
And somebody said the same thing to me. Okay, when I started my career, I was 25 years old. Technically, I was a little older than that. I was 30, okay? Tom Brady has been in the public eye for over 20 years. I know he wasn't a broadcaster, but he's done a million commercials. He's done a million press conferences. He's done a million interviews. It's not the same thing. This is not his first time in the media. I know it's different, but he's not a typical first-timer. He was awful, awful. He'll probably get a little better, but I don't know that he's ever going to be really good.
Did somebody put him in a booth and test screen him before they
I
signed
don't
him?
think so.
Or did they just say, it's Tom Brady, here, come work for us?
Everybody thought he was going to be this great, insightful guy. Like Peyton Manning, he has his flaws. They do it a little differently there. But Peyton Manning was good right away.
The problem is he doesn't have his own personality
Nope.
style.
Yep.
And when you real rich and real famous and real likable, sometimes you censor yourself, and what comes to your mind, the first thing you want to say, you stop it because you be like, everything he does, that's bad for business. It's Tom Brady. Hey, he's a business dude. He been getting money.
Yeah.
People love him. Every time he wanted to say something, he ain't gonna say it. Listen, Deshaun's processing is just slow. It's looking crazy out here. Like, he's extending plays. This is a clean block. Let me show you why he did what he did. He wasn't even. I wanted to hear Tom Brady give me that GOAT talk.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to say, all right, on this play, what happened? And in 1985, or 1996, I was in a game and we had the same exact look, and I had to do this. Or I wanted him to give his experience and his personality. I didn't get none of that. I got AI Tom Brady.
Nothing.
He's always been vanilla in his career in press conferences. He opened up a little bit in Tampa. New England really sort of neutered him and muted him. But has he been critical of specific players? Like, he's critical of quarterbacks in general in some of his settings, but I don't know that he's specifically criticized.
Well, you got to be able to criticize.
But that's
you're
what
not
I'm
gonna be
saying,
good. Yeah.
because he will generally criticize,
but
to like say Dak messed up right there, or Deshaun didn't read that right. Like, I don't know that he has singled guys
Well, if
out.
he's not going to do that, then what did they pay him for?
Because these are his contemporaries. These are the guys that he was playing against not that long ago. And some guys have a really hard time being critical of guys that are their colleagues and contemporaries.
Unfortunate.
So we'll see
he was terrible.
If he adjusts to it or not.
Should we hit on a couple other games here real quick?
I got two more things. So we'll talk it out loud here.
Yeah.
We have Michael Symon in 15 minutes.
Yeah. I need to scream about the Bengals
Well,
for 2 minutes.
I have that built. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out what order we want to do this, because we're going to have some time between Michael Symon and Bernie, and we'll have a little time after Bernie. I got one more question on the Browns I want to bring up.
Go ahead.
So you want to do the Browns real quick?
Yeah, go do one more question on the Browns.
All right, so we've talked about this in different parts, but not necessarily locked in. But, Jill, you mentioned the Nick Chubb factor earlier and how Nick Chubb may have hid a lot of the Browns' warts over the last couple of seasons. When you look back at the performance we saw yesterday, we didn't see Deonta Foreman, by the way. I'm not sure if he was dressed. Did he not dress?
He
Jason?
was. I think they brought him in at one point, but he didn't get a touch.
0 carries, no touches.
Yeah.
I know they've told us they're going away from the run game. But I don't think I expected the run game to be that bad and that little of the game plan. Granted, I know they were down. They started throwing the ball a lot more in the second half.
Well, who told us that they were phasing out the running game? Who?
I think that's just the assumption you get when you bring in a new
that's an
RPO
assumption.
quarterback.
You know what happens when you assume, right?
You make an ass out of you and me.
This is an organization that, whether it's Kevin or above, forces the throw, like pushes the throw.
Yeah.
That I think we can all agree on, right?
Sure.
They emphasize the pass.
But they
didn't pay $230 million to run the ball.
Agreed, but they've never been with Kevin Stefanski overwhelmingly run percentage, pass percentage team. Like they run the ball with Kevin Stefanski at a higher percentage than most teams. They're still in the top 10 in terms of run percentage. They've always been with Kevin Stefanski. They're not like, I'm not saying they're running more than they're passing. Only really Baltimore does that, or maybe Tennessee.
Man,
but they've always run the ball a decent amount. So I don't know that that's going to dramatically change here.
They didn't run it yesterday.
Well, they didn't run it well, and then they gave up on it.
They have.
I mean, at some point, you down big in the second half.
You have to abandon
it. Couldn't really run.
But my thing is, you never tried to establish it. At least like that. Like
no, that's
Zeke. He wasn't really going after it. Zeke. They wasn't saying, "Hey, we're gonna spot shadow Zeke." No, they just gave him enough carries that you had to respect it.
Yeah,
but
I think part of the problem, they got blown out. That factored in the second half, and as you've said a few times, and you're right, they were behind the stick so often early that it was hard to run. It was one of those games that just everything went wrong offensively.
I was kind of explaining this, and it's like, so there was a coach and he was talking to other coaches at a clinic, and he says, everybody wants to sit back and throw the ball, and that's great. Like, that's the new wave to do things. He said, but if you want to throw the ball every single player, we a predominant passing team. People don't know how difficult that is to complete and do at a high level. He's like, when you drop back, they want to run option routes. So that means you have to have all these lists of things to go correctly before you can actually say that we completed a pass and move to the next one. So you got to snap the football and not get sacked, one. You got to call out the protection, right? You can have a breakdown there. Then you're running option routes. You got to have the quarterback see the same coverage as well as the receiver see the same coverage. Then you have to throw the ball. He has to be accurate with the throw. He also has to have that guy catch the football. There's 96 things that can go wrong in trying to be a great pass team. You only need a couple of them to be a good run team. Let's be honest with you. You hand the ball off, and the running back, if he don't put the ball on the ground, you can get 3 or 4 yards and you can do it again.
Right. On the other hand, though, you're going to move the ball faster throwing the ball.
Yes.
So that's why people do it.
So,
but you want to be balanced.
But you got to have a great signal caller if you want to be a predominantly passing team.
Yes.
And you got to be creative.
It does feel like it's so hard, and this is not just yesterday. This is for the last few years. Like one false start, and they're going to punt.
Done. Punt.
Like they can't overcome. And I don't want to compare it to Kansas City. Kansas City could be 3rd and 17, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. You always expect them to get the first down.
You get bubble guts.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the ball is. They're going to have a chance to convert. With this team, it feels like one false start. Oh, that's it. The drive's over. It's going to end in a punt. If you get to 2nd and 15, it's over.
And you know what? That's funny. We argue back and forth about whose fault it is, whatever. That right there, what you said, is a universal mechanic. That's a universal thing of Browns fans. I feel that dread. I find myself just saying, please don't hold. Please don't jump off sides, because if you do, I might as well not watch the next 2 plays. We can't get 12 yards.
And of course they have converted at times, but I would like to see, maybe I'll try and look that up.
In the Stefanski era, where
The
they rank in
Stefanski
3rd
era.
and 10 plus.
Well, not even 3rd, 2nd. How many times? 2nd and 15. How many times do you convert, and then what's the league average on that?
Yeah.
I'd be really
Where
curious
do
to
the
see.
Browns in the Stefanski era rank
2nd
when
and
they're
15.
10 or more yards
On
after
2nd
first
down, not even 3rd down.
Yeah, after
just
first
2nd
down, 10 or more yards.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
Oh, but hey, we haven't even talked about Njoku.
Yeah, what's his status?
Well,
Have we heard anything?
Stefanski's talking at 12:30. I just want to get a little more clarity on the actual injury and
All right, so
his
we'll give an
length
update.
before.
We'll give an update on Njoku after Bernie at 12:30.
I'll give you a set to rant on the Bulls, but on the Bengals. But first, Bull, we asked
Yeah.
earlier. G asked us to put a poll up on the fans' thoughts of Deshaun Watson. By the way, over 3,000 people in here right now. Shout out to the people tuning in. Huge numbers today. We have over 1,000 votes in this poll. The question is, I'm going to read it to you exactly as posed because I want you guys to guess
I
on
guess.
the
I know the
percentages.
polls. I know them.
The question was, do you still have hope in Deshaun Watson? The 2 options are have hope or no, he's washed. Bull, what do you think the split is?
All right, we're all very prisoner
Of the moment. Emotions are high.
And already half the fan base was done with him, I think. So I'm going to say 72% say he's washed.
G?
66%.
Jason?
63, but boy, I didn't think I'd be the lowest.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised.
And Jason's the closest. 64%
Okay.
said Watson is washed. Only 36%. Over 1,000, just under 1,100 votes. 1,100 votes, 36% say still have faith. 64% say washed.
All right.
Crazy how prisoner of
Yeah.
the moment we can be.
I know what they was
better or
thinking.
worse,
I already knew it. I said, all right, listen, get that pulse. Let's check their pulse right now, doctor, because like I said, boy, hey, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to, like, look around and say, like, I joked and said, hey, man, if I was if I was Jimmy Haslam, I'd get it. Hey, give me a running list of all the big money I'm paying. Hey, yeah, all the people that I restructured lately, they got to come talk to me. We need something, bro. Like that wasn't it.
All right, Mike.
All right, Bull, let me do a read.
Yeah.
And you could give us a little Bengals rant, because guess what? As bad as the Browns looked, still looked better than the Bengals.
That's actually not true.
Yes, it is. They scored
The
17
Bengals just played a
points.
worse opponent.
Those poverty Bengals scored 10. So by nature of points scored, they look better than the Bengals. But if you want to buy a ticket to an upcoming Browns game, an upcoming Bengals game, a Cavs game, a Guardians game, any team, you better be using Game Time to do it. Game Time has a brand new feature called Game Time Picks, and that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Plus, with Game Time, you can use their priority pick section to save even more money on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. They're all-in pricing. Make sure you get the total up front with no surprise fees at checkouts. Plus, your purchase is covered with the Game Time ticket coverage, the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Bull,
so let me just spend a couple minutes on this. First of all, I can't think of the Patriots' new coach. He was the player there.
Gerard Mayo.
Gerard Mayo. Kudos to him. I thought, listen, everybody coming into the season thought the Patriots were the worst team in the league, or one of them. They may still end up being one of the worst teams in the league. But on opening day, on the road, they came to play. His team was fired up. They played with incredible energy and toughness, and he led the way. I thought he did a great job in this game. They were completely prepared to play on both sides of the ball. Our old buddy Jacoby Brissett started for New England.
Good.
He did. With Jacoby Brissett, it was the perfect Jacoby Brissett script.
Yep.
Get a lead early, and then just run the ball. And they did it well. The Bengals defense was pathetic. Pathetic. They couldn't stop Ramondre Stevenson to save his life. I don't know how many times they had him at the line of scrimmage and either missed the tackle or got dragged 3 yards before making the tackle. It happened on, I would say, 3/4 of his runs. It was the most pathetic tackling I have ever seen from a football team. That's number one. Number two, I recently said Zach Taylor has improved as a head coach. He's a decent head coach.
I take it back.
I'd take it 100% back. Zach Taylor is an effing nitwit. He is a terrible coach. And the Bengals organization, I think ultimately they will sign Jamar Chase, even though they are a poverty franchise. I do think they'll sign Chase eventually. But it's like, first of all, they're like the Browns when it comes to wide receivers on the offensive line. They bring in good offensive linemen, and they can't play when they go to the Bengals. I don't know what happens. Troy Brown, this guy was one of the best offensive linemen. He's terrible. He comes to the Bengals, he's terrible. Now, Joe Burrow doesn't help himself. Like Watson, he sometimes holds the ball too long. I actually thought Joe Burrow played well. The reason the Bengals scored, so I don't know if you guys saw this. It was 10-0. No, it was 10-0. No, 7-0. New England in the first half. Burrow makes an incredible throw to the corner of the end zone. Gesicki catches it, touchdown tie game. They look at the replay. He lost the ball on the ground. The next play, guys. He throws a pass to Tanner Hudson. The tight end catches it. He runs 10 yards, about to get in the end zone. They knock the ball loose, turnover, and they really couldn't get it going. But then in the fourth quarter, Burrow gets him within 6. The Bengals get the ball with 2.5 minutes to go. They have all 3 timeouts. They're at a 4th and 5 at like their own 20, and he punts. Now, I understand you're down 6, and you're at your own 20. If you don't get the first down,
it's game over.
They're going to kick a field goal. It's over. Your defense, I know the Patriots' point total wasn't that high. I get it. But if you were watching the game, the Bengals couldn't stop the run the whole game. You can't punt. It wasn't 4th and 15. It was either 4th and 5 or 4th and 6. You've got Joe Burrow as your quarterback. He had been playing pretty well. They didn't play badly because of him. It was mostly everybody else that sucked. You cannot punt the ball with 2. And, of course, they didn't get the ball back because the Patriots ran for 2 first downs. I couldn't believe he punted the ball. If they would have lost because Burrow didn't get the first down there, so be it. But you can't punt the ball and take it out of Joe Burrow's hands. You got to give him a chance to make the first down there. The way they've handled the Jamar Chase situation is an embarrassment. Mike Brown is a complete idiot. Zach Taylor sucks. Their coaching staff is just an embarrassment. They are a poverty franchise. I love Joe Burrow and I love Jamar Chase, but they're ultimately not going to win because they're not going to keep the team good enough around them.
So what you're saying is the pick that the Bengals would have the greatest differential, plus or minus, from last year was a bad pick? Because I think we all took the Bengals.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, they'll play better as the season goes along. The offense was a little rusty.
They always look bad early.
And they're never ready for the start of the season, ever. We talked about this with the Browns. Bengals never. They're, I think, with Joe Burrow, 1-9 weeks 1 and 2, or 1-8 weeks 1 and 2. They're always terrible. Again, I don't really put much of it on Burrow. He made mostly good throws. But the rest of the team, I mean, they got to wake the hell up.
Hey, man, you know what I was disappointed in the most is, I saw the game, and I thought the Patriots did a really good job. But I'm like, dang, Jacoby Brissett look good? Like, that's stupid. Then I was like, dang.
He never takes chances. And, that's why you're ultimately not going to win big with him. But he doesn't make those mistakes.
But he can move the ball.
Yeah, and he ran the ball nicely.
And then I watched the Falcons and the Steelers, and I'm like, Justin Fields wasn't even getting no reps, man. These dudes, I'm like,
he had a couple nice throws from what I saw. I didn't see
any of that game.
He had a couple nice throws.
Yeah.
Like, they went in there and, like, they just did the Steelers stuff.
They did. They played great defense.
Like, I'm going to play defense. And then T.J. Watt was just everywhere. I'm like, man, look, I hate this. I hate when I watch these other squads and they be looking good across the board. And I'm like, what the heck are we doing here, man?
Baker threw 4 touchdowns. He had a great game.
Man, what are we doing?
Who else played great yesterday? Derek Carr played really well.
Like, out of his mind. Like, look, hey.
Bryce Young sucks. He's awful.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
What were the Panthers thinking taking him over C.J. Stroud? How like, your job. You're a football executive. How did you not see it? C.J. Stroud is the best young quarterback, one of the best young quarterbacks we've ever seen. And I get it, he's got more talent than Bryce Young around him. That's fair. That's part of it. But Bryce Young looks like he never played football before.
Yeah.
A nice comeback by the Bills because Kyler Murray was looking good early. They got to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison. Can we get him the ball?
I saw a couple clips of Harrison just wide open.
I know.
Just butt naked open. Nobody within 20 yards of him.
Oh.
Hey, but here, look. Yeah. I don't want to be this guy. But it's one game.
It is one game. That's true.
It's one game.
We all overreact to the first game in football more than anything else. Jamison Williams had a big game for the Lions. Man, if he's now a legit part of that offense.
They looked really good.
With Gibbs, with Montgomery. It's funny. All the talk in the offseason with them, deservedly so, was Jamar Gibbs, Sam Laporta, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And their two best players, in terms of statistics, their two biggest performers yesterday were Jamison Williams and David Montgomery. I mean, they're loaded, that team.
Jamison Williams is a couple years removed from
ACL. He's finally looks like
now he's looking crazy right
now.
Yeah,
he was on my bench.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely
smoked Mike Polk.
Well, I mean, we're all going to say that.
I mean, I'll let you get away with that, but that was pause worthy a little bit. You can't say like that. That's just, you said it too long. I had Isaiah Likely on the bench too, just hanging out.
Yep.
Just so it's the way it goes with these guys on the bench, man. But hopefully the Browns next week. If the Browns win next week or do what they're supposed to. Like, y'all got to do something, bro. I got to get this Kool-Aid back, and y'all costing me money, bro. We can't do no Kool-Aid Mafia this week. Ain't no Kool-Aid. We're not drinking nothing.
Yep.
Hey, listen, Greg Newsom, you see? You don't be tone deaf. You didn't see me waving no flags in Kool-Aid Mafia around here this week, drinking the Kool-Aid. You can't be doing the air guitar down 36, man. Look at this slow pan. Look. Like, you said it like the Kool-Aid Mafia was dead. He slow panned out on it like this. Like, yeah, ain't nobody drinking on Kool-Aid this week.
Let's see. Oh, you guys are playing each other in fantasy, right?
Who?
Jason, aren't you Team 9?
Yeah, I didn't even bother changing the team name. I'm just Team 9.
You're Team 9. Let's see. In that matchup, G is up 36 points.
He got 17 people playing.
But you're done. Jason has Ayuk, Purdy, Moody, and the Jets.
And a whole damn...
Although if Ayuk, Purdy, and Moody all have good games, Jets D probably won't
right?
do well.
It's a sliding scale.
I mean, but
you're favored to win.
You got the whole 49. You got the whole 49ers team.
Yeah, I don't know how I wound up with that.
High-scoring game between Tyvis and McNuggets. Tyvis is up by 2 points with Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel.
Tyvus is running that NASCAR offense.
That's
He's gonna
right.
have like 200.
McNugget says Garrett Wilson, so Tyvus is going to win that.
Yeah, he
that
won
one.
that. He won that.
We got our guest bowl.
Oh, the guest is
so
ready?
let me hop
Okay.
in and do a read, and we're going to bring in Iron Chef Michael Symon in a sec. A quick reminder that Prize Picks is the #1 way to play daily fantasy sports. With over 5 million active users, Prize Picks the easiest and most exciting way to play. Unlike other apps, Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money back as quickly as 15 minutes. Plus, Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out on your lineup. Even if it's not perfect, you can double your money, even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you run and play $5. You don't even have to win to receive that bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game today. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome on Iron Chef, Cleveland native, Michael Symon, and hopefully he's having a better day than we are talking about the Browns for the last
Well, he's
90
bummed
minutes.
about the Browns too, of course.
No,
Are you
I'm
not,
having
Michael?
An awful day. Awful day. Oh, what an awful day. Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, my only saving grace is I'm currently in New York, and they're all every bit as miserable as me, but, like, what a disaster. I mean, just an absolute disaster.
Do you live and die with the Browns more than any other team, Michael?
Oh, live and die. I mean, born and, here's how much I live and die with the Browns. My whole family's from Pittsburgh. I'm the only Simon that was born in Cleveland. So every one of my cousins, my father, my uncles, my grandparents, all Pittsburgh fans. And I've been a Browns fan my whole life.
That stinks.
You know, Michael, I'm going to tell you what, man. You're a truth teller. You know, so you tell it like it is. We put a poll up, man. And our poll question was, is Deshaun Watson washed up or do you still got hope? 63% of the chat is like, he's washed up. Where you stand, man?
I'm a little bit like, do you know who Bob Hope's brother is?
Yep.
No hope.
I'm stealing that. That was funny. I'm stealing that. Like,
No hope.
that. I said I'm giving a. Look, trust me. I was the person. I was the one on the panel that was like, "Nah, give him some time. We could get it done." Man, some of them throws that was in out of bounds.
Awful.
I was confused. Man.
I mean, like, look, there's two things. I mean, one, like, I'm fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with guys that play or have played in the NFL, and you get a little bit of inside opinion, which I'm a cook. Like I'm so like no one tells me how to be a chef. I'm not going to tell people that know more about football than me to about football. Like I had an uncle that played professional football and stuff. I've been around football my whole life. So, but still, like I watch and I'm like, all right, one. I mean, he got through the game yesterday, so I guess that's a good thing. But like, the greatest ability is availability, and in the 2 years, whatever we've had him, we haven't had availability. So there's that. Now he's on the field, but I don't see it. You could say it's the line, you could say it's that. They had 2 rookie tackles yesterday for Dallas. The Rams, Stafford going against that great defensive team. I mean, he didn't look lights out, but they didn't have starters on the offensive line. So, ultimately, your job at the quarterback is to make the read, change up when you need to, get rid of the ball. I mean, Joe Flacco was 107 years old last year, and he did it with a worse offensive line. So, and I will say, I will say this too, in all truth. I live and die by the Browns, but I also really like Baker Mayfield. So, I'm not. Teams change, things happen. It's a business. I understand all that, but it's like, boy, oh boy, they weren't going against Dallas yesterday, but watching Baker throw 4 TDs and for 300 yards, and let's remember he took Tampa Bay to the playoffs last year. He took the Browns to the playoff, beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Oh, and we'd have 3 more draft picks and $250 million to throw around in cap. I mean, right now it's looking like maybe the worst trade in the history of sports.
I can't argue with that, and I was defending bringing him here. I was not a Baker guy. I still don't think Baker was good enough, but certainly Deshaun hasn't been either.
No, like we could all have our opinions on Baker. Is he a guy that's going to win us the Super Bowl? Is he, like everybody, like those are opinions, but it's like, I mean, this has been a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been, it's like there's no other way to explain it. I'm cheering for the Browns no matter what. I don't always like. I'm a diehard, and I always have been. I've had season tickets for damn near 30 years. Like I live and die by this team, and so more than any other Cleveland sports team, football is what I care about the most. So it's. I wish I could say something different, but man, yesterday was nothing short of brutal.
How often do you get back here?
Pardon?
How often do you come back here?
Oh, quite a bit. My family's all in Cleveland. My mom and dad, my wife's family, like we're Clevelanders, and I go back and forth quite a bit. We're in New York because that's where my work is. My son and grandkids live in New York, so I like to spend as much time as I can with them. But yeah, I'm in Cleveland quite a bit.
Michael, who played a chef better? Was it John Favreau in The Chef, or was it Bradley Cooper in Burnt? Who did it better?
It's, you know what? I think that Favreau's, that was a little bit more entertaining and more user friendly.
Yes.
I would say, like more like the people at home probably connected with it better. But Chef's thinks that Bradley Cooper played a much better. Like that was a much truer look into the culinary world. I feel like if you want to see a little bit how crazy our lives are, the Bradley Cooper look was a much better look.
What is your show that you have not been on? What is your favorite all-time cooking show that you have not been a part of?
Ooh, whoa. Man, that's a good question. I've been on a lot of shows.
You have been.
I mean, you'd think I'd know more because I can't seem to center myself in this picture, but I mean, wait, is that better?
Yeah,
Oh
better.
man, I'm terrible at this. Yeah. This is why I own a production company, but stand on the other side of the camera.
There you go.
There it is.
You know-
right there.
Look at me, like look. This is good now. I've enjoyed watching The Bear. I don't think that's really a quote unquote cooking show. It's more of a TV. It's a TV show.
Yeah.
And I like those people. Maddie's a friend of mine, so it's funny. The only chef on The Bear is the guy that's a waiter in the show, but I think Maddie Matheson does a great job on that show. I love everything Jamie Oliver does. I think he's immensely talented. And he never really resonated as much in America, maybe as he did in the rest of the world. But
That means you got a text. Hold on, he'll be back in 1 sec. That is the downside of using your phone for vMix.
I don't know. It's like to me the greatest cooking type show ever was Iron Chef, and I was lucky enough to be one. But there's so many cooking shows out there. All the stuff that Bobby does, I think, is great. But I've been on his shows. He's an old dear friend. That I don't watch a lot of the Gordon Ramsay stuff. He's just too. He's a little extra for me. Like it's just a little too much for me. I mean, dude, come on, take a Valium. Just settle down a little bit. I mean, maybe it's the Midwestern kid in me, but I'm not gonna lie. There's also the Ed's wrestler in me. So I sometimes I just want to slap the shit out of him. But that's here nor there.
Michael, you mentioned Bobby Flay real quick. This is the question I had to ask you. I watch a ton of Food Network shows because I like competition, but when I'm not working, sometimes I can't watch sports. So I like Beat Bobby Flay, Chopped, all that stuff. I also love Entourage. I know you and Bobby go back and forth.
Great show.
How did they pick Bobby Flay to be the Entourage chef that steals Ari's wife and not you. I've always thought you would have absolutely killed that role, and picking Bobby, just a big miss on Entourage's part. One of the few misses they ever had.
I'm gonna give you some. This is gonna be great insider information. Because I was actually there. I can't think of the guy that was the creator of that show. What the hell's his name? But I can't think of his name. But Bobby had him over for dinner. He's smart like that.
Doug Ellen.
Doug Ellen. He had Doug Ellen over for dinner, and he played it right. And I got into an argument that same day. I got into an argument with Doug Ellen because it was the year after we lost LeBron, and he said the Cavs don't have a chance to make the playoffs, and I got all bent, and I got an argument with them.
Triggered.
Oh man,
I got triggered because I'm a Cleveland sports fan.
Yeah.
It turns out he was very right, but and I think it may have impacted my chance of being on.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's better than anything I could have hoped for. Thank you for that. I've always wondered it.
By the way, Michael, speaking of triggered, I'm triggered by the fact that all the competitive eaters, the best competitive eaters, are always skinny. I'm fat. I love to eat. Why are all the competitive eaters skinny? This pisses me off. Do you have an answer for this?
I don't. I think it's like anything else. I think you're probably training a muscle, and it's like you eat for joy, they eat for competition, and it's probably a different muscle, And it is weird though. If you think about go back and think about like your childhood and even like like those skinny dudes could put food down. Like I have one of my dear friends, born and raised Cleveland, or still lives in Cleveland, named Pete Durbin. He's 130 pounds soaking wet. He could eat me under the table. I don't understand what's happening. Like I don't know where it's going.
That is crazy.
And I mean he's literally like a pencil in thickness.
I got 5 food questions for you, right?
Bring it.
When you pour your cereal, do you put the milk in first or the cereal?
You don't put the milk in first. What are you, like some kind of serial killer?
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, G.
Who the hell would do the milk first?
Hey, listen. If you doing Rice Krispies, you got to put the sugar and then stir it in the milk and then pour the Krispies in.
No, you always do the Krispies first.
A couple things real quick. None of those cereals need any more sugar.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like, I mean, if you were 6 years old and trying to explain this to me, I'd say you don't know better. But like,
grown man.
Come on, like that. You have like you're a grown man. One bowl of that cereal is enough sugar for like a month.
Yeah, I got to put some extra in there. All right, and your chili, is there? Do you do a bean chili or a meat chili?
All right, now I'm gonna piss off all of Cleveland right now. That stuff that we grew up on, all right. I'm going to make a short story slightly long. I'll tell it as quick as I can. In 1988, I went to culinary school in New York. One of my roommates was from Austin, Texas. It's the first week of football season. There was a little like community kitchen that you could use at culinary school. So we're going to cook some food in the community kitchen, go back to one of the dorm rooms. We're going to watch the games that day. They said, who wants to make chili? I'm like, I'll make chili. I made with the chili that we grew up on, ground meat, beans, all that stuff. And in addition to my roommate was from Texas, there were about 4 people from Texas there. They laughed me out of the joint. They're like, what is this? Like, you put this on a hot dog or something. What is this? This is horrific. And I got mad, and triggered and all that stuff. And I'm Greek and Sicilian, so like I'm not the best at controlling my temper all the time. But I've learned to I've gotten better as I've gotten older. But they're like, we're making the chili next week because this is just so terrible. After they made fun of me for saying pop for like 2 months, then I come rolling in with my chili. And they made Texas chili, which is chunks of meat and no beans. And I've never made the Cleveland version of chili again. Right. It's the stuff that we grew up on it's a travesty kind of. Like once you eat real chili, you're like, oh God. Oh wait, there's actually real chili peppers in chili. Oh, right, now I understand. Like
that's what
there's a reason it's called chili. Like Yeah, it's not like this chili powder mix that you dump in on the ground beef with the onions, and then because it tastes so bad, we cover it up with a bunch of cheddar cheese and sour cream and chopped onions, and I don't know. I still like that chili on a hot dog, and I wouldn't put the beans in it once again. But I feel that the beans probably. My guess is the beans went in there, to save money back in the day. It was just something to stretch it, kind of.
It's true.
So yeah, I'm a chunks of meat, no beans, Texas chili person.
All right, I'm gonna run through the next two. What is the best cut of meat when it comes to ordering a steak?
Strip steak, right?
Come on, it's
Is it?
ribeye.
Ribeye.
No,
Ribeye.
not strip. No, ribeye. It's ribeye.
Ribeye. Yeah.
Bone in?
That's
Yeah,
what I
a strip.
screwed up.
Strip's too lean. I mean, if you really get lucky, there's some steakhouses that you could order just the cap of the ribeye, which is like the best piece of meat in the whole steak, and they like roll it and grill it, which is incredible. I mean, beef tenderloin's a joke. Like if I see a chef order beef tenderloin, we kick them out of the club. They're not even in the club anymore.
I love beef tenderloin.
You're out of the club.
Out of here.
Bye, Jason.
Tenderloin.
It's out of here.
The way you put sugar in your cereal, you love beef tenderloin.
No, that's him.
Beef tenderloin. Beef tenderloin has no fat, no texture, no
Exactly.
flavor. Like, I mean, if I was like 7 pounds and didn't have teeth, like beef tenderloin, I guess would be a good cut of steak. But since I'm not that, and it's terrible. What a horrible cut of meat.
Michael, we don't want to give away your home address, but what part of New York do you live in?
I live in Long Island.
Okay, you live in Long Island. So I'm from Brooklyn.
And look, I
originally.
even said it right, Long Island.
You did. You learned it. So I'm from Brooklyn originally. So I'm curious, what is your favorite pizza? I know it's almost impossible to answer, but what are some of your favorite pizzerias there?
Oh yeah, I mean New York pizza. There's nothing better than New York pizza. Period. End of conversation. I don't want to hear from I don't want to hear about any other type of pizza.
Yeah,
it's not even.
You're right. Of course.
Texas chili, pizza, New York. End of story.
Yes.
So I love Joe's.
Yes.
Off Bleecker, not the original Joe's, but like the first Joe, the main Joe's. I like John's for whole pie. There's a newer pizzeria in Brooklyn called Pizzeria Feeney that is lights out. There's also one in Brooklyn called Lucali, which is lights out.
In there.
And then also it's like lower east-ish. There is a pizzeria called Scars, which is great.
I've heard of them all. I've been to 3 of the 5, and they are 3 of my favorites that you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's is, I
Yeah.
used to live, when we were filming The Chew for, 8 years, I lived in the city. And Joe's was a block from my house.
Yeah.
And it was really bad for me because I would walk the dog, and every day I'd walk by, the 2 places I would walk by is Gray's Papaya Hot Dogs and Joe's Pizza. And there was never a day that I didn't go up to a random stranger with my dog and say, "Could you hold him for a second?" And go in and get a hot dog and a slice. I'd hand a 120-pound pit bull to a stranger. I swear to God, he doesn't fight.
God.
I'll be right back.
They did it. Obviously, DeFara's is one of the more famous places, but I feel like since the old man passed, it's not as good. I went there somewhat recently. It wasn't as good.
It's like I'll always support it because of it's legendary. But I like the other places just a touch better.
Yeah.
DeFar. I always loved DeFar. Even when he was there though, like I always thought that Joe's and John's just nailed it every time.
An under the radar place. I don't know if you've ever been there. Probably not. Del Mar in Sheepshead Bay. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I haven't. I'll get there though. I hit them all. Like I hit them. I like to eat.
Mike, we got 2 more for you. Thank you so much for joining us today. But you have Mabel's here in Cleveland on East 4th. I know there's also a Mabel's in Vegas. And on September 29th, you're hosting a little Browns-Raiders event at Mabel's. Hopefully you can tell us a little bit about that.
Dude, so yeah, this is actually going to be great. The whole weekend, we're doing we've been at Palms in Vegas now for 6 years. And the casino kind of agreed to do like a Cleveland weekend for us. So we had a fancy dinner at the steakhouse one night. We have another little smoke out dinner at Sarah's. It's a little sister restaurant of ours there on Saturday. But Sunday's going to be the most fun. I'm going to be there the whole time. We're doing a tailgate, and then during the game, and we're doing kind of two seatings, like pre-game or during game, and we're smoking tons of meat, whole hogs, all the stuff. We're gonna do this big, like really Cleveland meat-based buffet. All you could drink pitchers of beer, all you could drink bloodies, and it's $49 a head for pre or during. And if you want to stay for the whole thing, it's $90. But we're going to be giving away prizes. We're going to be playing Cleveland. Like, we're going to be playing a lot of like music from, the Cleveland bands that we all know well. It's just going to be a riot. We're going to have a ton of fun. And there's a lot of things going on for Clevelanders that weekend. But we really wanted to be home base for the tailgate, and for the game. Mabel's Vegas is much bigger. Like, we have, it's about 8,000 square feet. So it's about 4 times bigger than the Cleveland Mabels. And we have, there's big screen TVs everywhere, walls of TVs. It's a great place to watch sports. But we're going to do a lot of beer, a lot of barbecue, Bloody Marys. We'll have a couple salads for those people. But it's going to basically be a meat fest. Nice. Meat and beer. That's,
Dudes, dudes.
Yeah, look, I like to cook a lot of fancy food too. I've been lucky enough to be a pretty successful chef through my day, but I also I love working a pit and drinking beer. So like this is like, we're gonna play 80s music, watch the games, lot of smoked meat, a lot of cold beer. It should be a blast.
Meat, football, rock music, and beer. That basically sums up Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important things.
That's kind of like when I try to explain my childhood to people. That's pretty much it. I pretend like I didn't start drinking beer until I was 21, but like we know that none of that's really true. I guess I didn't start drinking decent beer till I was 21. But
Hey, Michael,
because Little Kings even count as beer? Is Little Kings a beer? I don't even know.
Little Kings. I don't know
that one.
No.
All I know is Natty.
How old are you guys? What year did you guys graduate high school?
89.
94.
2000.
Okay. All right, so I was 87. So like, if I were to drink beer when I was in high school, it would have been Joe Bell, Little Kings, or Mickey's Big Mouth. Those were in the mid '80s. Those were the beers of choice.
We were Zimas, dropping Jolly Ranchers into a Zima.
Oh God,
Zima. Oh.
Zima. Oh, sweet
that's
God.
the worst.
Hey,
Sit down, have a Zima, eat a filet medium, and have some Rice Krispies with extra sugar. That's
I'm done. Right. You knocked me out. There's nothing else to add.
But like, if I go to hell, I'll know I'm there because that's what's going to be in front of me. A medium well filet, a bowl of Rice Krispies with extra sugar, and a Zima.
Oh my God.
I eat it medium rare, at least. I eat it medium rare.
Come on now. Well done, steak. Nothing worse. Thanks, Michael. You're the best. We appreciate
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys, go Browns. It's only as sad as we all are today. It's only 1 week. We can't lose hope yet.
That's right.
All right.
Fair enough. We'll keep
Thanks,
hope
buddy.
alive.
All
Thanks. Thanks, Michael.
Good, guys.
Awesome.
All right,
that was
great.
The great Michael
funny.
Symon.
That's
And we're
great.
going to go from an iron chef to an iron quarterback. You like that transition? We got Bernie Kosar in the wings. Let me do a read. We're going to bring in Bernie, and this segment with Bernie's brought to us by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, big or small. Certain things can really start to get to you, and it's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So if you're feeling down about the Browns' start to the season, there's a good time. It's a really good time, actually, to start therapy, and there's no better place to do that than with BetterHelp. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports teams, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. And with that, let's welcome in Bernie Kosar, a new grandfather to the show. Bernie,
Hey, Bernie. Bernie,
Yeah, thank you.
this
I wanted to be in studio today. On Friday, we were talking about wanting to be in studio, post a big Browns W. That didn't transpire so much, so to the point where the game was so challenging, my daughter went into labor 9 weeks early. So the day ended up awesome, and now you're talking to a first-time grandfather here.
That's awesome.
Oh,
What
that's
is
great.
you have a grandson, granddaughter? What is their name, and how's your daughter doing?
Granddaughter, and my daughter's doing fantastic. Thanks for asking.
What's your granddaughter's name?
So that is to be determined right now, and we were talking about it just as I was getting ready to come on air, and the true professional that I'm trying to attempt to be left that to make sure I was on time here for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
When do you start breaking down cover 2 defenses with her?
Well, actually, during the night as we were waiting, and then being early in the ICU and stuff, she actually did see the all 22 copy of the Cowboys Browns game yesterday. So my daughter, and who has had to see that before, but now my granddaughter has had her first foray into a Browns all 22 copy.
I love it.
Bernie, I know you are Mr. Positivity, and we love you for it, but there's not much positive to take from that first game, is there?
I love how you say I'm Mr. Positivity, and here in a day today, sitting here outside the hospital with a granddaughter and my daughter being healthy, I couldn't be more positive from that perspective.
Sure.
And it actually last night made me think about sometimes I haven't had great balance in my life. My love of football, my commitment, whether when I was playing, to obsessively want to just somehow, some way, the Jimmy Johnson line, end up with a W so that you don't have this negative football feeling on a Monday morning was something I super obsessed about. And as the game was going on yesterday, and typically that's how I would have been feeling, depressed, disappointed, in that when I got the call that the game is going so bad that my daughter's in labor, and it really kind of put things in perspective, maybe sometimes to ultimately some other things that are more important than that. So to end up from that perspective, with a healthy daughter and granddaughter, I'm festive with that. But from the football perspective, this is what today, and Bull, you're so right. There's nothing really to sugarcoat in terms of how disappointed we are today, the fans are, but even more so the players and the coaches and the organization. And the words of Marty Schottenheimer ring so hard in my head right now. And Marty, in his strong belief, and he used to say, have the gleam, man, have the gleam to pursue the Super Bowl. And he goes, one of the hardest things to do is that first football game. Absolutely, you want to win it. You want to be 1-0. But back then we had 16 games, not 17. And he kept saying, you have to remember that the season is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And if the first game doesn't go according to plan, and obviously it didn't yesterday, you still have 15 more opportunities, or in our case, 16 more opportunities. So as depressed and sad as we are today, also I so believe, although the players, coaches, organization also are, but those words of Marty of remembering it's a marathon, and then getting back to some of the core basics. And we saw yesterday that Offensively, we're disjointed. We're not running the ball and trying to figure out a more consistent way, but not panicking yet. And I'm hearing a lot of the pundits today saying extreme things. And again, Marty Schottenheimer's words keep ringing in my head that it's a marathon and don't go with drastic changes and panic button after week one.
Bernie, I looked at the Browns last week. I said, one of the things that they have to do is stay consistent with the run game. Not so much that you have to have big chunk plays or that you need Jerome Ford to have 100+ yards. But I look at the game plan that the Dallas Cowboys had. Zeke isn't the Zeke of old, but they still were married to the run game. Still gave the Browns something to have to defend. It just seemed like the game plan early on was to come out and throw the football. I know they were behind the sticks with a lot of penalties, but I just think that they have to commit to the run more. Were you a little surprised that there wasn't more of an emphasis? And I get, later on in the game, when you're down, you're behind, you're going to have to throw the ball. But I think they should have had a bigger emphasis on at least staying with the run a little more to keep, especially that pass rush off base.
Yeah, so G. Bush, your point's absolutely well taken. And in retrospect, it's something that you want to alter this today and this week heading into Jacksonville. We were talking about it through the off season a little bit, and for sure in the last couple weeks about who and what is our personality going to be, and when are we going to be a spread 2-minute throwing offense, or are we going to be the play action run game that we were kind of built around at the end of last season? And one of the things that we saw in preseason that we talked about was we were doing both, and we were showing both things and multiple things to teams like Dallas coming up, and then what Jacksonville's going to see from us. But you could see going into the game that it was mostly all the no back, one back spread, almost all shotgun. And the successful running game tends to be challenged these days in that spread shotgun one back where you're just doing the ride play, the ride off tackle belly play, that you could see now NFL defenses understand how to cover that and how to defend that because they've been seeing it for almost 10 years now, versions of this type play. So not having that under center, multiple tight ends running game yesterday allowed the Cowboys defense to get off more in pass rush. And the Cowboys are undersized. And in retrospect, G. Bush, you're right. I really would have liked to have done more running. We talked about it when I came in the studio last Thursday about not letting Michael Parsons have free runs and having tackle or having extra tight ends or backs in there chipping him and stuff. But also then when you have a superstar pass rusher, we also talked about in the run that is super fast, that could go lateral, side to side, and even stats there: 1 sack, 3 tackles, 1 assist. He had 8 quarterback hits yesterday. But those type guys, man, I love to run right at them. And G. Bush, you're right too. The lateral fast speed pass rushers, when you put bodies on them and you bang them hard. And here I am spiritually happy here at the hospital with my daughter and granddaughter. But some of the ill-intentioned ways that you have to think in your brain to physically attack that front four, and in particular Micah Parsons, and you do that in the running game, and we didn't do that. And then when you see, and those guys see that it isn't going to be that more running game, and now you are behind and you're behind the sticks, now the jailbreaks start in terms of the pass rush. And that is what we saw through the majority of the game yesterday.
Bernie, if you're the head coach, how do you approach this week in terms of trying to fix Deshaun? Because there's something broken. So what do? You got 6 days now. What do you do as the coach? How do you go about this week to try and get this thing repaired and back on track?
So great question. I'm doing the You Matter right now because of your self-confidence and self-esteem. And Coach Stefanski, and if the Browns gods of Marty Schottenheimer are looking down from football heaven, would be saying some of the same things that we just talked about in terms of a positiveness, a belief that it's a marathon, that it's one game and you need to put that behind you. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to learn from these mistakes. And I say a lot that rookies get the best between year 1 and year 2, the development and stuff. Another part of the old school philosophy of that is how you get better between game 1 and game 2. Actually, you saw Jim Harbaugh say that again yesterday. Is there's big improvements between game 1 and game 2. Obviously, offensively, you don't want offensive performances like we just had this past Sunday. And there's nowhere really to go but up. But how do you get to go up and going to Jacksonville with that is a positiveness with them. And I also believe trying to not double down on all spread and all shotgun. It's really clear that we're having a communication issue. And it's fair, too, with all these injuries with the offensive line and protections and stuff. So I know and I'm not being a quarterback apologist, but the quarterback gets so much attention. But there was a lot of pressure yesterday. So I would be positive with Deshaun. I would be committed to him. I absolutely, though, would be giving him some plays that have more running game in it so that you could get after the D line and slow them down a little bit and get them to respect that the physicalness is around the line of scrimmage. And then that gets you into the game, because yesterday, if we could have stayed in the game with that puts pressure back on the opposing offense to try to do and make plays against our fantastic defense. And although they scored a lot of points yesterday and they had good balance, I mean, Dak got 19 for 32, 179 yards. Zeke, only 10 carries for 40 yards, 1 TD. I mean, that's a good mix they had. CeeDee Lamb only had 5 catches for 61 yards. When you get to hold them kind of players at those type numbers, you're close to doing good. So for this week's game, I'd really be wanting to create some positiveness with Deshaun and our offense, realizing that we're not there yet, so that we put the pressure somewhat on Jacksonville offense so that our defense has a chance to flourish.
Bernie, great stuff as always. Congratulations on your first grandchild. All the best to you and your family. We thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
You matter.
Bernie.
You matter.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Thanks, Bernie.
Congratulations to Bernie and
That's
his
awesome.
daughter.
Yeah.
Very
Watching film with her already. I
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
right. He's getting her ready. All right, Mike, what do you got
Tough
for
first
us?
film to watch, for being honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Set up we have 21 super chats.
Nice.
21, so we got to get to it. Monster numbers today. We appreciate everyone who tuned in.
Even early, I noticed that we had a lot of
Even
people
early, yeah. And now
starting-
obviously we went a little longer. It won't always be 10:30 on Monday, but
Yeah.
this felt like the special time. We hope for a better reason to be early. Obviously they didn't get it, but
Yeah.
if we did some of these numbers today in a loss, an
Yeah.
ugly loss, wait till they win a couple of games and these numbers are going to be crazy. First super chat comes from Brody's Bottom Line. Jason, just say you don't like Deshaun. That's the super chat.
That has nothing to do with it.
Does he mean from a personal level? This is pointless, but I'll say it anyway.
Yeah.
You can't win with fans sometimes. Fans assume that we have agendas all the time, because some people do have agendas. I think most media members don't have an agenda. I'll only speak for people I know. I have never really worked with anybody that did things for shtick or
Right.
just made stuff up or
Right.
tried to piss people off.
Right.
We're trying to give honest opinions. It's always going to piss somebody off. You could say, much like with players, you could say 99 things good about somebody, one bad thing about somebody, and people will say you're a hater. In this case, whatever. I know you personally, you don't care from a personal standpoint. It doesn't matter.
We joke all the time. I'm dead inside.
Yeah. And I admit when I don't like Baker Mayfield rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
But I think I've been completely fair. He played really
great.
well last year. He played great yesterday. I'm going to be honest about it. I wanted Deshaun. I've been highly critical of Deshaun Watson for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I wanted him here. You wanted him here. We were all thrilled to have him here.
I will never try and change history, and I will never run from the record.
Yeah.
I did not think Baker was good enough.
No.
Still don't think he was good enough.
Agreed.
He played great yesterday. Congratulations.
Agreed.
It was great.
Yeah.
He wasn't good enough. He wasn't going to be good enough. They tried to get better at the position. Did they do it?
Yep.
It doesn't look that way.
No.
But so I defended the move. I wrote wonderful things about Deshaun at times. There's nothing great to write anymore. So what do you want me to say?
To say it's personal for
It's
Jason
ridiculous.
or I when it comes to Deshaun is ridiculous. If we didn't like him, then we would have said that from the beginning.
Right.
We knew off the field stuff then. He's played like crap. I mean, that's it. What are you gonna do?
I've been the most positive, pretty much about Deshaun Watson in this game. I think I've been one of the most positive dudes in the entire media in the city.
Yes.
But guess what? Nah, bro, that ain't gonna get it done. What do you want me to do? I can't defend that, bro. Like, there's one thing I'll say more than anything, and Tyvus will say this: when you play a sport and when you play and you know people who play, there's one thing that you're married to, and that's the facts. You're married to if I'm sitting down watching a game with somebody that played, I'm not going to gas you and say, and try to make something be what it's not. That film work is what it is. That's why they always tell you, you are who you put on film. So am I saying he's finished? No. But if you keep having games like that, the NFL is not for long, bro.
That's right.
At the end of the day, that wasn't good enough. So what do you want people to say? And I want him to do well. I've been in his corner in terms of what I think he could do for the team. But at some point, when the rubber hit the road, you got to play. You got to perform, man.
It is good for business when the Browns do well.
That's right.
All want the Browns to do well for that. But it's funny, as soon as you start to point out facts and reality, people revert to their emotions. Well, you don't like them. Well, you don't like the team. Well, you're just a hater. When you can't argue logic and facts, you resort to emotion.
By the way, one former NFL quarterback said Deshaun Watson should be benched, which I think is crazy after one game. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Go ahead.
I mentioned on the post-game show, but we have Sean King coming on the show Wednesday, Bull. He's gonna
I had Sean King.
Yeah, he's hopefully going to be a weekly contributor for us, doing a little X and O all 22
He
breakdown.
will not be. He's going to be
Deshaun.
critical of Deshaun Watson, I'm sure.
Well, if Deshaun plays well, hopefully he sings his praises. If he
Right,
doesn't,
sure.
but we're going to get a real X's and O's film breakdown. Steve Becker's going to let us break the rules, show some video.
Good.
And from a real NFL quarterback's perspective, not just us speculating
Right.
what we think he should be seeing, we'll get a legitimate perspective on how Deshaun played.
And when I had Sean King on my podcast, he was very honest about Deshaun Watson, preseason. So I think he's a good guy to have on. I'll be curious.
I love that. You don't take my word for it. Reading Rainbow.
Yeah. I've been texting with him this morning, and he's really excited to do this. He's already
Good.
sent me a couple of time clips and specific throws he wants. So
Great.
it's going to be really good on Wednesday, and hopefully
Awesome.
it becomes a weekly segment. Jonathan Mann says, Hudson and Ifedi aren't enough. Who can we still get at this point?
I don't know. It ain't even my job. All the tackles that I would do during the regular season, I don't know they're my
Who is
top.
You got to get Conklin and Wills back at this point. They're not bringing anybody else in. Conklin should, at the very least, Conklin's practiced for almost 2 weeks now. He should be ready to go by week 2.
Yeah, were you guys? I was surprised he didn't play yesterday.
I was
very surprised.
I was a little surprised. Yeah.
The inclination, Jason, leading into it that he may be not in uniform. Like, he practiced long enough that I fully expected him to be on the field.
He gave a couple weird answers. What day was I in the locker room? Wednesday.
He was there Tuesday.
No, it was
they're
Wednesday.
There's no locker room Tuesday.
It was Wednesday, I think. I think he talked Wednesday, and he gave a couple sort of weird answers about we'll see or something like that. Oh. And you didn't know if it was being strategic and cagey or if he was being honest.
Yeah.
So that kind of was stuck in the back of my head. But I thought he would play.
Hey, listen. When you got them two defensive ends, it's tough, man. They ain't played. He hadn't played in almost a calendar year, man. And plus, you got to come back. You got to be in shape.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
Fair.
Hey, I would not be excited to like have my first game against Michael Parsons.
And the Jags have a good pass rusher there, and
the Giants
Josh
have
Allen.
a couple of good pass rushers.
And the
active.
Giants got one
and
too.
the Giants are a joke.
They're
can't-
terrible. I'm just saying their
Yeah,
pass
yeah.
rush is decent. E-Unit, actually, his next super chat is exactly in line with what you said. He goes, "Did I miss the Conklin conversation? Dude was taking reps at left tackle and then decided he didn't want to get embarrassed."
Wow, I don't know.
I don't know if it's an
Jack,
embarrassment.
I don't know about that, but it is the whole thing with Jed Wills is weird. The whole offseason, and the Jack Conklin thing was disappointing.
Jonathan Mann said, "Mike, you did a great job. The fan show was awesome. Thank you. We're going to put out
it was good.
something on the community tab later this week on how, if you want to be part of that this week.
Yeah, I like that.
How you can be part of it this week. So
Yeah, we should do that once.
that'll be coming out.
Yeah, it's fun.
Bill Rodewalt says, "I just rewatched the first half of the game. 2 critical plays Parsons was unblocked, including the first interceptions, which Parsons tipped."
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what
There was one play they purposely left him.
Yeah, I
unblocked.
didn't understand what the protection
Yeah,
was.
that was weird.
See, that's a lot of this stuff too. Like, we don't know what the protection call is and
Sure.
what the scheme is. Like, do they want the back to fill? Are they calling it from inside out? Are you going to slide to any immediate pressure in the middle and leave the edge rusher? But I don't think that, I would assume that you would not want Michael Parsons to be unguarded
Yeah, that
or
doesn't make
unblocked.
sense.
It I'm not saying that the protections were perfect every time. Obviously, there was breakdowns at times. Obviously, my only point is he had a lot more time to throw than what you're going to hear all week long. You're going to hear all week that the protection was terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't think on a whole, on the aggregate, I don't think the protection was the issue. I think it was him holding the ball too long.
I think he held the ball a lot, and that's part of what he does. And it looks good when you getting plays and creating, and it looks horrible when you're not creating no plays. He's always held the ball a long time.
Mike, next.
Yes, it's made him great, and it's also what's been his downfall at times. Brody's bottom line says, again, this is the second game that our D coordinator had a stupid game plan. Acid Brooks has 2 super chats. It's hard to throw the ball when the defense knows. And he said Deshaun had more passing yards than Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, and Justin Herbert.
I think when you watch the game, when you watch the game, it wasn't good.
Stop.
When you watch the game, it wasn't good, man.
He put up all those. He
wasn't
had
good,
like
man.
30 yards passing until garbage.
They had
time.
one first down in the first half.
Yeah.
Real quick, and it may be true he threw for more yards.
Yeah.
Burrow played like shit, right, Bull?
No, he didn't play like shit.
The offense as a whole played like
the
that.
offense did not play well. He was fine. He was fine. They just didn't have the ball a lot because their defense was so horrible.
Herbert was not good. They won.
I didn't see
They ran
Herbert.
the ball a ton.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray missed 2 guys
It's
wide
irrelevant.
open late. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant because those guys. First of all, the Chargers and Cardinals are not contenders. Now, maybe the Bengals will be a big disappointment. I don't know. But when Joe Burrow has been on the field for the Bengals almost all the time, he's played high-level football. Deshaun Watson has not. There's no comparison.
This isn't hard.
It's irrelevant. This is not
just
complicated.
grabbing at straws.
Stop squinting to try to find the one stat that's going to make you look vindicated.
I don't care what them dudes do. Like that don't make me feel better.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they played terrible, so that makes no. It wasn't good enough. We're not good enough to. I want to win a championship.
That's it.
Not look good or
Not outplay Kyler Murray.
right.
every week.
I want to win a championship.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
next one comes from M. Bynes. Yes, Deshaun needs to get the ball out quicker, but the Dallas defense was never confused about what the Browns were running. That's on Kevin. I saw no adjustments to slow down the Dallas defense.
I hate the game plan too. I told you I didn't like the game plan either. Kevin had a terrible game plan. I mean, look, everybody was trash. F minus.
Yep.
Let's get it
They were
done.
not ready to play.
Go back, figure it out, and come out ready to play against Jacksonville, man.
Organizational failure. They were
Yep.
not ready to play.
Next up, Bill Rodewalt says maybe Houston Deshaun was really just D-Hop.
Nah,
No.
that's bullshit. He was still great his last year, even without Diop.
Mikey McGee says, at this point, I take Will Howard over Deshaun Watson.
Jeez.
And we ain't seen Big Will. We ain't seen. I'm gonna wait on Big Will. We're gonna see. But hey,
He's played 2 MAC teams.
yeah, like
Antonio Duropoulos says, I told my dad if they weren't playing preseason reps. They better be ready. Needless to say, it was a disaster. We're on to Jacksonville.
Yep.
M. Bynes chimes back in. When you have an offense that is built supposedly for a mobile quarterback, play calls and line play have to adjust, but Deshaun does have to be better.
Yeah. I think people criticizing, including G, I think the lack of the running game, I think it's somewhat unfair because, again, first of all, for 3/4 of the game, they were way behind. But early, they were going 3 and out, and they weren't getting any. It was 2nd and 10, 3rd and 15, 2nd and 15 constantly. I mean, how much can you run in those situations? I think they were put in a tough spot, and they really weren't in a position to run much more than they did. I have to go look back and look at it play by play, but it's easy to look at the total numbers after. I just don't know that they were in that much of a position to run.
I think, the reason why I don't think they have no commitment to run the ball is because the guy that they keep giving the ball to is not very
But who
good.
are they supposed to use?
They
don't have anybody.
They got a ton of people they could have went after. A ton of them. Deontay Foreman, he wasn't.
All right.
even
Well,
dressing.
I think he dressed, but he just didn't play much. Maybe they'll give him more of an opportunity.
I mean, whatever they got.
Can't have less opportunities.
Go ahead.
0 carries. Next one from Charles T. PFS said DeJuan Jones had the worst game of his career, ranked at the bottom for tackles. Dak was bad and still passed for 176 yards. Defense helped him. Mikey McGee also says, I had issues with the defense celebrating down 20 as well.
That was crazy.
Q said Dak 179, 1 touchdown. Watson 164, 39 on the ground, and a dropped Cooper touchdown. Watson needs to play, but
that's embarrassing.
It's on the team. Dak didn't play much, if at all better. I give Dak a C+, Deshaun a C-.
No.
That's just absurd.
No, bro. Like, if you watching the game, if you know, you know.
Oh, my God.
Dak Prescott, in certain downs and distances, came up with the plays he needed to get done. He missed a couple of throws, but they took their foot off the gas.
Yes.
Let's not act
I'm
like
fine with a C grade for Dak for the game. That's fine.
But
Deshaun gets an F.
That if you looked at the 2 quarterback plays, it was night and day.
Oh, come on.
Come on, man.
That's
come on,
just
fellas.
ridiculous.
Fellas.
And to bring up the stats, the yardage, when all Deshaun's yardage was in garbage time and the Cowboys were running the ball down.
I'm sorry. I'm leader of the Kool-Aid Mafia, but we can't do that. I'm sorry.
Big Roo says Watson seemed to deflate the whole team. LOL, team spirit was gone. Also think Watson just lost a step. Life took a toll on him, it seems. No QB, no RBs, rough life.
I did say that if we was playing, I was laughing and joking the other night. If we was playing Madden, I don't know who has badges under their name. It's just there's no lightning bolts or quick speed or muscles or weights or lockdown. It's just normal progression. I'm like, bro, and you can't afford to be normal. Like, I don't know if he has to fight. He can't be normal.
Not in the AFC with Patrick Mahomes. Bernard Neely says, Deshaun Watson said he lost his dad on Friday. I wanted to know if this is why he had a terrible performance on Sunday.
Who knows if it factored in? I mean, I don't know.
I think Deshaun, and condolences to his family. Deshaun would tell you, and this is the crazy thing. He'd tell you, I didn't play well.
Yeah.
He'll tell you.
He said it's no excuse.
It's no excuse.
It's a hard week, but it's no excuse.
So no.
Next.
759 UXU said, what are running back and offensive line coaches teaching? I thought Staley was supposed to be an upgrade over Stump, and we definitely took Callahan for granted.
All right, next.
Next one comes from Mr. I Crappin' Shits, which is a good name. We talked about this earlier, but he says, is there anything to be read into when Batonio slapped Watson's hand after Joel recovered
Joe
the
Thomas
fumble?
explained
We've
that.
debunked that.
Check out the Joe Thomas tweet. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
JV from Clee says, enough with the preseason doesn't matter talk. We were not ready yesterday. Falls on the coaches and those decisions before week 1. Offensive line play. Way too many flags.
In fairness, the Cowboys starters didn't play week 1 either. I mean,
A lot of teams didn't
either.
But again, when you talk about new coaches, new offense, new scheme, quarterback
I
coming
get
off
it.
injury,
They should have.
not every team is
you
the
can't
same.
blame it all on not playing the preseason.
I don't think that they would have suddenly won the game had they played, but they probably would have looked a lot better than what they did.
And we got one more. This may be a record-setting amount of super chats, so appreciate everyone out there. But DB Dog 21 says, it's just a total trash performance top to bottom. It's one game, though. Make adjustments, come back next week, play well, win, and you're back to 500. Just the right mindset
true.
to
I
have.
love it.
That's true.
Because I'm not about to sit here and do. Listen, it's way too. Like I was telling my cousin, like, yo, this is your life. I do this for a living. I am not gonna do 18 weeks of this is terrible football.
No.
I can't do that. They got to do something. I need them to be good or decent or something because there was nothing to parse of this. This made. I know it's a lot of people in there, but this makes some terrible shows. We couldn't even say nothing positive. Like
No.
Yeah, it was tough.
And,
Quick reminder, real quick.
And by the way, if they did go win at Jacksonville, that'd be a good win. I mean, Jacksonville
good win.
lost by 3 at Miami. Jacksonville's at home.
They're
I
going to
think
do it without
Jacksonville's
Njoku.
favored.
David's week to week high ankle sprain.
What's that?
Njoku is week to week.
Okay.
So he
We'll talk
likely
about that
not.
in depth tomorrow. Some of the other injury updates. Stefanski's talking now. Also, every game during the season, Jason's texting members. So if you're not a member and you want to join the membership of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, there's 2 different tiers: coaches tier and starters tier. $2.99, $4.99. You can find that link on our website, on our YouTube page. Just click the join button, and then you pay from there. Appreciate everyone tuning in.
We'll talk about the Guardians weekend against the Dodgers on overtime.
Peace.
deuces.